And our story begins in a peaceful village, while people were walking, when suddenly, a huge earthquake occurs. People are left wondering what could have happened. Could it have been an earthquake? What could be causing all that shaking? The scene changes to a guard, who was standing in front of the door, while a woman was walking with a basket of clothes on her head. Until when everything shakes, she says, "My God, what's happening? Help! What was that sound?" The guard calmly says to her, "Look, it was nothing, ma'am. Please, just go ahead." "What do you mean it was nothing? That just happened. It wasn't an earthquake?" "No, it was just young Master Young taking his walk." "What? What kind of nonsense is this?" And then another tremor occurs again. The woman is now completely terrified by the whole situation, while the guard responds, "Look, see for yourself, okay?" When he opens the door, there was our protagonist, gigantic and fat, walking with difficulty, trying to take another step while saying, "Almost there, I'm almost there." But just as he was about to take the next step, he ends up falling to the ground. The guard then shouts at him, young master, shit, I already told you not to come. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? Damn, this damn new body of mine. I'm not going to lose here." And again, our protagonist gets up, motivated to continue his walk. He thinks, one more time, just one more time. Then, a little mosquito appears in front of him while he is concentrating on taking his next step. But suddenly he screams, "My neck! My head! Honestly, this is not going to work." And he falls to the ground unconscious. The guard comes shouting, young master, are you alive? Young master. Oh, I really need to save Murin. My name is Jean Highgang. I went back in time to save Murin. What kind of crap am I talking about? Although things seem peaceful for now, in the very near future, Murin will go into chaos. The moment he appeared, he united the unorthodox Murin and dyed the entire central plain with beetroot juice. All the sects worked together to fight him, but we were all completely wiped out in the end. Now that I think about it, he really is amazing. Uniting Murin is not something just anyone can do. Anyway, I lost my parents to the chaos he caused. The story flashes back to our protagonist's past, who was in a fight with the men shouting, "You bastard Jean, how dare you? I lived as I wanted, being a nobody. So what?" But one day, I met my masters, the wise Shaolin master, Hong Gang, the immortal swordsman Deng, the celestial strategist Jagao. These are all my masters. I thought my life had finally started to get better, but I was completely wrong. Save me, please, someone please get me out of here. A homeless guy is beating me, help. And the guy starts beating our boy upside down, while there are several snakes just waiting for him below. "Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer. Stay there. Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer. Someone please save me. Save me, you damn thing. Save me." Our protagonist is swimming in a river, tied up by a bunch of rocks, struggling to get up. "Give me food, please. I want a fire. You dishonest, cheating person. Since they wanted me to stop the servant of chaos, they did whatever they wanted with me. Ah, these firm muscles. This is my real body." A few years later, in the future, we see our protagonist in his previous life, completely muscular, meditating by a waterfall. Anyway, at the end of the hellish training, I learned the martial arts from my masters, before the unorthodox murim destroyed itself. You have to find the servant of chaos and get rid of him completely. We were only hotheads when we were younger, like what we did to you. Now, you will teach us and unite us this time. And that's how I received the mission to return to the past and teach everything I learned from my masters to them before the worst happened. Well, it's all good. I'll live a comfortable life after I defeat the servant of chaos. But I didn't think I'd end up in this body. It's unbelievable that I can't even walk, even though I'm training for it. Oh, what a situation. While our protagonist was lost in his thoughts, two old men were arguing next to him. One of them takes it and says, "Zhang, do something if you're a doctor." And there you Sung Hwan, who is our protagonist's father, and Zhang Xiong, who is our protagonist's father's friend and an imperial doctor. But I can't give up because of this. I went through difficult training for this. I'll survive, no matter what happens. You're fine, Hyung, you're fine. Zhang, please do something about it. Old man, just shut up, I need to think. Now it's done. What's ready? He's still in pain, it's useless. First, I have to lose some of that weight before I can defeat the servant. I'll need to train martial arts too. And what else? Alright, he's in pain, his energy is blocked. What do you mean? Oh, shut up for a second. I need to train my martial arts again, and the virgin ginseng. That's right, I need to get that before the servant gets it. I remember now. But that blocked energy, that's a sign that he's getting better. We need to do this, so he can release the blocked energy. Are you going to take responsibility for what you just said? If Hyung's life is in danger, I'll solve it another way, but I think I forgot something. Will the servant's friend get the virgin ginseng in 6 years? When will he get it again? Is that how you talk to your damn friend? You owe me a thank you for saving Hyung. Thank you. I hope you'll help me more. And the animal stays there, appearing like two puppies. Let me go, old man, let me go. And our protagonist? What a situation. They won't shut up. Those old men are so noisy. Think again. What do I need to do? Is that servant's friend going to get the virgin ginseng in 6 years? No, 6 months. Damn. When our protagonist remembers this, he wakes up desperate, spitting out red juice. I only have 6 months, you crazy old men. And when our protagonist shouts this, the old men stop arguing with each other and look at him, lying there in bed, spitting out beet juice. You brat, calm down. Old men, how dare you talk to me like that? While the old man, his father, all cute, is there and says, "Oh, my dear little son." And he lies there on his belly. All right, the old man was this guy's father. And the animal stays there rubbing itself against our protagonist. Oh, old man, just because I acted energetically. Oh, what a situation. Jang, didn't you say he would be fine? Oh, honestly, why is your face so red, Dad? Yes, my son. Seriously, at least be consistent in your acting, you crazy old man. I'd like to go for a walk. What? A walk? Hey, get a chair and something to clean Hyung with. Do it quickly. And then the crazy guys show up, all pumped up, sometimes jumping from their calves, their forearms looking like Ramon Dino's arms. And the guys arrive with the chair to carry our protagonist, while he looks at it, not understanding anything, and the guys are already waiting there. They're already waiting to put him inside. Oh, what would a walk be like if I sat there? I would like to walk on my own 2 feet. And then, our boy stands up, while his servant helps him take a few steps. Everyone is apprehensive about that scene, while the old man says, "Ah, Hyung, my son, he's really walking. Oh, I wouldn't believe it even if I told you. This is the first time I've seen this since he was 10 years old. Oh, this crazy old man. Now I understand the state of this fat body situation." When our protagonist was walking, everyone looked at it without believing what they were seeing. Ah, young master, my God, he's walking. Am I dreaming? He's walking. My God, he's already taken 4 steps. Guys, is he in bad shape? Everyone is excited because he took 4 steps. Stop being impressed just because I walked. If I can't get my martial arts back, you'll all be in danger. And the poor servant over there, struggling to help carry our protagonist. I've been walking like crazy for half a month. Why haven't I gotten better yet? So, our boy gets on a scale to see if he's lost any weight. Here, slowly, come on. While the servant is putting a bunch of little pigs on the other side of the scale to get an idea, since back then there were no digital scales to measure our protagonist's weight. The cart is already full of pigs and can't match the weight of our protagonist. He keeps thinking, what's the situation? And suddenly, the scale breaks on the other side and can't lift our protagonist. Was he too heavy? Damn, it looks like everything is going to end before I can do anything. It took me so long to get here, but at this rate, I won't even defeat the Servant of Chaos. Huh? Wait, Servant? What was his real name again? I can't even remember his face. I don't remember anything. Young Master, fats are usually hard to get rid of. Well, let's first cut out sugars while we try to reduce muscle loss. The guy's expression changes, looking like a fitness instructor. Let's create a menu with foods full of vitamins. Things can be very different if you continue to eat well, do aerobic exercises and strength training for a year. Our protagonist just thinks in silence while looking at the crazy guy. He thinks, I lost my memories when I entered this body, but I remember other things. And several black clouds appear with the name Spoiler. Huh? Wait a minute. He's going to show up in the Anhui province to find the virgin ginseng anyway. What if I find the virgin ginseng first and wait for him there. Since he wouldn't get the mystical creature, wouldn't he be weaker? Ah, how boring. I feel bored. Why does everything have to be so boring? And he returns to our protagonist in his past life. All-powerful, thin, exuding his power. I can't believe you're called a servant of chaos, even though you're so weak. Okay, I know very well what you're capable of now. Kneel down. You should see me as your superior. And he returns here to our fat protagonist, saying that this speech was amazing. Young master, you weren't mad, right? If something happens to you, I'll turn into ham too. I'm going to take care of that bastard in the Anhui province and defeat those lackeys of his right there. Excuse me, young master. Well, the end of the mission will be the beginning of my life. And Huang stands there looking at our protagonist, not understanding anything. And he already starts to joke, smiling happily, already imagining himself after defeating the servant of chaos. Young master, my god, he must have gone crazy. Apparently, it's a side effect of losing weight too quickly. Wait, young master. I'll get the imperial doctor here. And Huang runs off to call the imperial doctor. But if I want this plan to work, I need to do something about this damn weak body first, while he's grabbing those fat lumps. But what can I do? Not even 10 years would be enough for me to be able to walk freely. I need to find some other method. And the guys are already desperate, thinking that the protagonist was going crazy. Zhang Xiao. He was chosen to be the emperor's doctor, even before he was 30 years old, going against all capable and incapable people. He created his own medicinal technique at the age of 50. My savior. As they get there, all desperate, shouting, Master, I'm sorry. The moment you said you wanted to walk, I should have realized that something was wrong with your sanity. Uncle, you are the most countless doctor in the entire Central Plain, aren't you? Yeah? What do you mean all of a sudden? Yeah, well, I am. Yes, I am. In that case, could you make some medicine that would help me lose weight? Something that would make me lose weight drastically in a month. And the doctor is already desperate. Is that why you're walking? To lose weight? The protagonist stands there all cute, looking at the doctor. It seems that it wasn't anything with your sanity that was bad, but rather your heart. Did the Namong clan's rejection hurt you that much? Look, there's a medicine that increases your constitution, if you can take it for a long period of time. Seriously? I could get it in 6 months? Oh, you think life is that easy, huh? Come on, it'll take at least 3 years. And of course, it won't be as easy as just taking the medicine. You'll have to exercise. Oh, you quack. And he lands a cheek warmer on the doctor's face, and Huang takes it and says, My god, my lord, are you okay, Zhang? Oh, I was a fool to think you could do something, but it's not like we don't have options. What other method do you have in mind? The scene changes to a very beautiful waterfall, while our protagonist shouts, Is that it? And the crazy people are all tired from carrying him there. How did I not think of that? Use the buoyancy of the water. We're going to come here to train every day. And when he says this, the crazy guy is already devastated. My god, we're going to have to carry him every day. What happened to him so suddenly? It was much better when he refused to get out of bed. Oh, I thought I had won a prize, but this was more like a punishment. And then, our protagonist walks towards the water, thinking, I need a method to submerge my body. Will it definitely be easier to walk in the water? Or should I go a little further? But when he takes a step forward, he picks it up and says, Huh? And there's nothing else below him. He just falls down the river. And the servant up there, calmly watching, with our protagonist having just submerged, picks him up and says, Oh my god, I thought he would like to play in the water, but I didn't imagine he would like it so much. Oh, young master, you've grown so much. Oh, I'm going to the light. What the hell? Someone save me. Save me here, you crazy lunatic. And meanwhile, Huang is up there, very calm, picks him up and says, Is he really diving? Does he have a natural talent to become a sailor? And our protagonist doesn't go up. Meanwhile, another servant says, This stream may have an unexpected great decline when the servants walk further in. And Huang, when he hears this, stares at the water with a cute face. The other servant, worried, watches, and the young master doesn't go up. He has the young master's detector. Oh my god, young master. And he starts to get desperate and dives after our protagonist. Meanwhile, our boy is there underwater, running, drowning. But while he sinks in the water, he ends up leaving his own body for a kind of memory of his body's former host. They were running with a lot of arrows hitting a carriage. When he opens the door of that carriage, there was a woman holding a baby painted red. The little baby, all cute, was crying. And this, in fact, was Hyung, our protagonist's original body, when he was only 2 years old. And this woman who is holding him, apparently, is his mother. Then, our protagonist feels a huge headache and says, "I understand. These are the memories of this scoundrel when he was young. He was very cute when he was young. In that case, this woman is..." And the woman lets out a desperate scream just as he was about to finish his sentence. With tears in her eyes, she looks at our protagonist when he was still a baby, saying, "You must survive, my son, whatever the cost." Meanwhile, our protagonist thinks, "What the hell? Where the hell is that old man to save me?" Meanwhile, the woman continues crying, looking at the little baby. Meanwhile, he says, "No," and then returns to his body again, diving down the river. The servant up there, all desperate, screams, "My God, I can't swim. I can't swim. I can't swim." The young master, until someone pulls him out from below and manages to save his life. And Huang stays there, all grateful that they managed to save the young master. The one who saved him, in fact, seems to be the woman. "Oh, you gross bitch." And Huang asks her, "Where is your young lady? Why are you here alone?" "Oh no, it was the man. The young lady asked me to go ahead first. And, leaving that aside, shouldn't you move your young master first?" "Oh shit, young master. I'll save you." And Huang begins, "Please breathe. Young master. Let's hear what excuses you have before I send you all to an Isekai, all scared to death. Tell me, what are your excuses?" And our protagonist's father, there, burning with rage, says, "Oh, actually, the imperial doctor suggested that the young master swim." "Oh, you bastard. You were my friend, you piece of shit. But you were the one who said that." "Hey, how can you say that? You persuaded him, talking about buoyancy and everything." And our protagonist's father pulls out the sword to caress the poor doctor. "Sungwon, my friend, let's start rationally." And he launches an attack here that almost hits the doctor. "How dare you put my son in great danger? I'm gonna beat you up." "You bastard. Please calm down, master, please." Then, a big lady appears saying, "I'm back, sir. Did Hyung faint?" She, all graceful, enters the hall and says, "You must be the imperial physician who has been taking care of Hyung's health for the past 10 years. Let's hear what you have to say first." The doctor, already suspicious, thinks, "It's the Namgung clan. This is all because of the Namgung clan." Hyung is in a state of shock after being rejected by Namong so harshly. "He asked me so desperately what the quickest way to lose weight was, and that's why I told him to swim." "Huh? Is that what happened? I only focused on my anger. I didn't pay attention to Hyung's emotional pains. If he wants to do this, can't we just let him swim?" The protagonist's father, already all tearful, thinks that there are other places to swim besides that stream. She, all cute, says, her name is Yo-hyun. She's our protagonist's older sister. "Huh? Damn. I can't believe it. Someone had to save me in a damn stream? Isn't it even the sea? Huh? That rascal. Did he grow up without a mother?" And he remembers the protagonist's father, hugging him desperately when he woke up. Then he realizes the reason why that old man acts so stupidly is because he almost lost his son along with his wife. Huh? Based on his personality, he must love his wife like crazy. Well, I think he raised his son, who was left behind, with excessive love and fear that he might have left too. But that little rascal, how does he have to live so poorly and make me go through so many problems? Not only fat, does he even have muscles? Aren't his joints even moving properly? Come on, Hyung. Huh? Who are you? Oh my head. Oh, you mean she's a sister? I see. But why is she so pretty? That boy is so clumsy. Is she really his sister? It must be hard for you to stand up by yourself. So, I'll help you. Huh? No. It's going to be hard for you to do this alone. Even Huang and the other guys can barely lift me. And the guy just goes on his back and lifts the guy up like it's nothing. I'm better than Huang. Come on, young master. And then the scenery changes to a place with lots of trees, a very beautiful place, and people are saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. Everyone starts singing there very calmly, everyone excited. Our protagonist there in the thing, and the guys carrying him. Huh? Why are they all in such a good mood, huh? Is there something wrong with this? What's this again, huh? Come on, pick up the next rocks. That's it. Carefully, carefully. We need to move more rocks here. We're done on this side. Let's go to the other one. And then several people appear working in one place, removing a bunch of rocks and doing a bunch of stuff there. And up there is Huang, our protagonist's servant, commanding the entire operation. But what's this here, huh? What are you guys doing? Are you digging a grave? Do you want to send me to another comic book universe? It'll be ready soon, huh? You won't have to go to that creek to swim anymore. And she, all graceful, picks it up and says this to Huang, who is there without understanding anything. Water? And the guys start throwing a bunch of buckets of water into that huge hole, while he says, don't tell me that's really it, and it's all yours. And the guys were building a giant pool for our protagonist. Huh? Isn't that the young master? Oh, it's the young master. Young master. He's here. Everyone starts greeting him. Is he really walking? Wow. How incredible, congratulations. And he just stands there, oh, thank you. But what the hell? Why is everyone laughing, huh? Obviously, they are being greatly encouraged by that old man. And everyone seems happy with our protagonist. Shouldn't they be more hostile to me? Do they seem to have been brainwashed? Did the old man give them gold or something? And everyone there, young master, young master. And Huang comes running towards our boy, shouting, has it arrived yet? It'll be ready by noon. Huh? What was that just now? Yeah, old man? I mean, what the hell is dad doing? Huh, seriously? Do you want to brag about him that much? And Huang starts beating our protagonist. I'll tell you, since you asked. The patriarch is the great apprentice that all the apprentices admire. The symbol of integrity. And the protagonist imagines him there. My peanut, my little baby, my little peanut, little young. And he's talking about the same guy? It's not just that, you know. Whenever there's a shortage, he opens the Yo clan storehouse to share all the food and clothing with the others. He's respected by all the prefectures here in our place. The people who were touched by what he did visited the Omping prefecture. Then he picks up and continues talking. He's much more impressive than I thought. How interesting. But wait a minute. A prosperous man who is respected by the villagers. But I'm the only son of that rich guy? Oh, so in short, he's been so kind to me because I could never repay him for it. I don't need to do anything to have a good life. Our protagonist is already thinking about his good life. Hello? Well, why are you talking about this? Oh no, I was just thinking out loud here. Young master? And then the scene changes to our protagonist diving into his newest pool. Huang, where's that thing I asked you to prepare? Oh, don't worry, young master, I'm here. And Huang lifts up a huge rock with a chain tied to it. Then, our protagonist comes out of the water and says, if there weren't any riots, I could live a peaceful life and just wander around, right? But really? As Huang ties the rock to our protagonist's leg, he says, young master, be careful, okay? And then he picks up the giant rock and starts climbing up. Our protagonist watches this, and suddenly he is pulled along with the stone. Wow, Huang is really strong, guys. If only that inconvenient guy wasn't around. So, when the stone hits the ground, it pulls the protagonist underwater, and he begins to meditate, thinking. A person's circulatory system is completely open when they are born, but it slowly closes with age. That's why it's best to train hard as soon as possible, especially if the body has never been trained before. Since it's going to be hard to sit in the lotus position with this body, I'll get up first. So he begins to meditate, thinking, 100 years. No, I wouldn't be able to get the internal energy I want even after 1,000 years. However, some statues begin to appear around him, meditating while he continues. My master prepared an internal energy training method for such a situation. It's called the spiritual energy heart cultivation technique. And then, all those statues start to channel energy into Hyung's body, as he continues saying, I'm going to let this energy flow into my heart instead of my energy core, and into my blood vessels instead of my energy veins. This is the main focus of the energy heart cultivation technique. And then a sphere of energy begins to form, circulating throughout the entire central part of Hyung's body. He feels all that energy flow through his body, and it begins to radiate a glow even outside the water. There you have it. The spiritual energy that will replace the internal energy has begun to fill my heart. I can now feel the flow of water, and just by raising my hand, I can already feel all that water circulating around my body. Great, let's see. Then he takes a step forward as he prepares to strike with the strongest Shaolin fist technique. This can crush boulders over 30 meters away, 100-foot mystic fist. A blue aura begins to form on our protagonist's fist, and suddenly, a huge explosion occurs, sending water gushing upwards, outside. And he continues talking. 8 immortals descend, walking as if they were drunk. Beggar's sect. 8 immortal drunken steps. And then those statues that were previously meditating appear, now all dancing around our protagonist as he speaks. A sword with infinite variations. Heavenly sword of the Namgung clan. And he begins to deliver a series of blows inside the water, while up above, very calm, is our servant Huang speaking. I never knew the young master was so good at staying underwater. Did he awaken this talent when he drowned before? But wow, I thought he would give up after 3 days. He has been watching this for a month now, and he remembers the first time he put the stone on our protagonist's leg and threw him into the water. I really thought he was crazy when he asked me to put a metal ball on him. Then, our protagonist comes out of the water saying, "Huang, get that thing ready again." The scene changes to Huang putting the piglets on the scale again to see if this time our boy managed to lose weight. He steps on the scale, and it's been a month. I trained like crazy with a body that not even the legendary Hada could fix. And Huang stands there, in disbelief. "Huang, here I come. If I can't get rid of all this damn fat, there's no hope." When he puts one foot on the scale, a bunch of piglets lift up. Huang swallows hard and apprehensively. Then, they show the scale calculating the weight, while the protagonist says, "Get out of here, please. Get off me, damn fat." I finally lost weight. The piglets get out, and he starts jumping. Huang comes towards our protagonist. "Congratulations, young master." "Huang, I made it. This is all because you were by my side." Huang starts to cry, overcome with emotion. "Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, young man. I feel very happy too. I understand. Now, there's no need to sew the torn clothes every day. Finally, our seamstress will have more happiness now." Yes, it was hard for her, right? They say, remembering our protagonist's clothes that always ripped. Yes, and the chair runners won't have to worry about your back pain anymore. They suffered a lot too. Well, this is a secret, but there were rumors that you were adopted because you were too fat. I'm sure that rumor will disappear now. Oh, I've heard enough. Time to stop talking. True. Well, there were also rumors that you were rejected for marriage because you were fat. I told you to stop talking, you piece of shit. Don't you know when to stop anymore? Our protagonist is already irritated because everyone says he was fat. And Huang stands there, shaking all over, saying, "There was something the patriarch asked me to do. I'll come back to do it, okay? I'm going. He runs away, afraid of our protagonist. Now I have spiritual energy and I'm losing weight, but it's still far from the body I used to have. If internal energy is something people obtain through endless cultivation training, then the spiritual energy mind cultivation technique can be said to be like consuming mystical creatures or herbs full of spiritual energy, a way to become strong more quickly. But without consuming a mystical creature, I wouldn't be able to reach certain levels even if I trained for my whole life. So, I need to get the mystical herb that the servant bastard got, virgin ginseng. If I remember correctly, it will be discovered behind Huang Shuang in 6 months. The timeline is so short. Before that, it would be good if I could have spiritual energy. Then, someone offers a bowl of chocolate or coffee to our protagonist, and he takes it and says, "Your body must be in shock since you trained in the water without resting recently. I put in some roots of the tuber clan flowers for you." Our protagonist doesn't even wait for him to finish talking and throws everything in. The doctor is surprised and says, "Oh my god, he only took it from my hand? Oh, it's already finished, right? Pass me the bowl over." And our protagonist already starts meditating inside his room. A large amount of energy begins to flow around his body as he thinks, well, This old man is quite useful. Now then, I need to absorb the spiritual energy before it is digested. It is weak, but it is gathering little by little. He continues meditating, exuding a blue aura. Just wait for me, you bastard servant. I will catch you, and I will find you. The scene changes to our protagonist drinking the soup, while Huang says, "Oh really? Hey, can you do it? Can you do it? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2." And he begins to walk. Huang has tied his hair up 2 months later, and our protagonist is still there underwater, meditating, until he begins to accumulate energy in his fist and deliver a series of blows into the water. With that blow, a whirlwind of water occurs outside, while Huang is just watching. Could this be the palm technique? Huang thinks, perplexed. Come on, what am I thinking? Is this impossible? That arrogant pig wouldn't know how to do that. The bastard bad-mouthing the protagonist. Who are you talking about? Who else would I be talking about? The young master. The animal bad-mouthing the young master to his father. His father, furious, replies, "I don't think I know who the arrogant pig is. Could you tell me?" Speak, Huang, exclusive escort of the Yo clan and former inspector. Who exactly are you talking about? Hey, what are you guys doing? Come and drag Huang away. And the guys start dragging Huang. You've worked hard all this time. Go to the warehouse and enjoy your rest there. I'll send you food. I feel sorry for Huang. Thank you, boss. Huang cries there. By the way, you saw that too, right? Excuse me? Hyung, he just used martial arts. Go on. And the old man starts imitating the move our protagonist did in the water. He sent the water splashing with the palm technique. Water splashed. Tada! The old man, with a cute face, imitates our protagonist. And he keeps saying that you need to like this video, thus ending the first episode of this story. Hey guys, and look who's back. I saw that you really liked the story of our little fat boy from Murim. So I've already brought the sequel, because I know you want to see our little fat boy getting thinner and defeating the extras. So, without further ado, stand up. You remember that the last video ended with our protagonist throwing punches in the water, while Huang calls him an arrogant pig, right in front of the patriarch. And today's video begins with his father saying, and to think that he's interested in martial arts. Although it's a shame, what can we do if he wants to learn martial arts? There's nothing I wouldn't do for him as his father. But first, bring me some paper, a brush, and ink. Immediately. I'll need to send a letter to the Imperial Palace. Then, the scene changes to our protagonist's father talking to him as they return home. During the conversation, he gives his son the divine manual of the heavens. Our protagonist asks, "What did you say this is, father?" "It's a secret martial arts manual that the Imperial Palace gave us." "The Emperor gave us this? I thought he was only a little good at studying. But a martial arts manual from the Emperor himself? You must be really influential. I just took a chance and said that you've been interested in martial arts lately. I can't believe he sent the best manual from the Imperial Palace's martial arts vault," the protagonist's father says affectionately. Meanwhile, the other one mentally says, "What a lie. He bothered the Emperor so much with his letters that he had no choice but to send this manual." He then shows a stack of letters that the protagonist's father wrote to the Emperor. "Your Majesty, you no longer favor me like you used to. Have you forgotten me and gotten involved in state affairs?" The scene then returns to our protagonist, with his father all cocky. They inform the protagonist that he now has a martial arts teacher to teach him. The scene changes to the protagonist, with a confused expression, listening to his new teacher say, "Ho ho, don't worry. You may not know this, but your brother-in-law is quite capable." "Is that why he was standing there recently?" asked the protagonist. In fact, the one who will be his teacher is Dan Chunwoo, the husband of our protagonist's sister. And our boy's father continues to say that his brother-in-law is part of the best martial arts clan in the province. While our protagonist comments, "Are you Pinocchio by any chance? What the hell is that nose? This is ridiculous. The patriarch of the Dan clan would be bowing down to learn sword techniques from me. What am I supposed to do with these idiots? Should I just tell them the truth? Oh no!" He then remembers his father fighting with the doctor and saying, "Give me back my son. Give me back my son, you bastard. No, I don't want to see that side of him again. It's not like I can learn my original skills now. Wait. Yeah, since we've come to this, I'm going to build up my internal energy. If anyone asks about me in the future, I'll just say I learned it from Dan Chunwoo. And if anyone asks what martial arts I'm using, I'll just say it's the divine manual of heaven." Man, what a fantastic idea. And then our protagonist walks up to the two and says, "Although you're my brother-in-law, I'm now your disciple." He bows and asks, "Please accept my bow." The protagonist's father starts to cry, all emotional, while saying, "Besides having everything, my dear Hyung, he is so polite, he is impeccable." Meanwhile, the protagonist's brother-in-law is there, trying to deal with the situation. Get up, brother-in-law." "I can't get up. I think I have a cramp." "What? Oh wait, I already told you. That's not how you do it. No, do it again. In position 1. and the protagonist stands there with a blank expression. Suddenly he gives up. How can you not do such a simple move? Again, I overdid it with him. Brother-in-law wrong. I am your master. Our protagonist, already irritated, responds, yes, master. Let's move on to the next move. For now, it is important to learn the basics. Don't I need to understand other essential moves to be able to use the technique well? The teacher, ironically, says, how stupid you are. You will only be able to master the technique when you have a strong foundation. How could you learn something being so dense like that? Oh, you're gonna grow up? How pathetic. Am I dense? Just because I played with you. You think you're an all-powerful martial arts master, don't you? Oh, you rascal, the protagonist replies. That's right. Going easy on you for 10 days is enough. You, who have had an easy life in the world, may think that the techniques of the 6 combined fists are a joke, but they are not. Even in the simplest movements, the laws of the universe can be found in them. Want to see? The teacher continues to think he's so cool. Oh, since you don't believe what I say, let's fight. What? I'm talking about a duel to use the technique of the 6 combined fists to fight. Let's see who's stronger. You, obsessed with your fundamentals, or me, who understands the main points of martial arts? Oh, I see. You want to duel with me? What's up? Are you scared, huh? Brother-in-law, while I'm now part of the Yo clan, I was once part of the 7 ruby-eyed dragons. How embarrassing, huh? If you don't want to, then get lost. I think you're just talking, you braggart. Okay, let's go. But how could I fight you with an advantage? I'll seal my internal energy and do that too. The guy ties himself up, all cocky, for our chubby guy. Don't regret it later. Fall forward, I'll let you attack first. Then he begins. I'll go with the dragon birds. Our protagonist already starts to get into a battle stance. When he starts to advance towards his brother-in-law, he wonders, what position is that? But the protagonist doesn't give time for anything else and is already prepared to deliver a thunderous blow with dragon fists. What? He connected the movements of the 6 fist combination technique so easily. I think he lives up to his name, but is that weak body already starting to tremble? I have no choice. I have to end this quickly. The protagonist, without wasting any time, goes after him again, and the crazy guy starts trying to get away. But the protagonist doesn't even give him a chance and firmly says, finding yourself is something that only the strong should do. And he gives his brother-in-law a cheek warmer in the ribs. In the meantime, he says, oh no, what the hell? And the guy already falls to the ground, surprised. That was very unexpected. But the protagonist doesn't waste any time and comes at him again. Brother-in-law, oh no, no, no. I'm your disciple master. The scene changes to the protagonist's house, with Huang dozing next to another man who says to him, what's up? Go rest. I can wait here alone. This is the patriarch's order. How could I do this so carelessly? But you've already been dozing off all day. I heard you were demoted. I guess you're just enjoying yourself. Young master, this is too easy for you, considering it's supposed to be a punishment. Are you really dozing off, you rascal? Ha ha ha. Come on, come on. But shouldn't you be training right now? Young master, are you ignoring your training? Well, the protagonist thinks to himself and says, my brother-in-law is in no condition to teach me right now. He talks to Huang, somewhat excitedly, and thinks, I wonder if he's woken up yet. God, my body. So, basically, you're saying that Hyung suppressed you with martial arts? Forget it. Help with your head. It's so itchy. Okay. As expected, Hyung, she's all cute and dancing while the poor guy is lying on the bed. Hey, honey. She replies, I knew Hyung was a martial arts genius, and the crazy guy. Come on, honey, I'm really in pain. It's okay. You'll feel better if you rest a little. She's all calm, talking to him calmly. And the poor guy is left there desolate. The girl left me alone, guys. He starts to cry. Oh, this damn family. The scene then changes to Onping City Hall, where some merchants are arriving with a carriage and several horses. As they enter the city hall, one of the guards says, we're here, patriarch. And inside the carriage, there was a man who seemed to be very important. No matter how much I think about it, I don't know if this is something you need to get personally involved with, since my uncle requested it. Respectfully, I must attend to it myself. Jik-sung, let's go to the Onping Prefecture branch of the beggar sect. Meanwhile, our protagonist walks around the city calmly, thinking, this is my first time walking alone in this body. Let's take a look at the world before chaos happens. He watches everyone happily, carrying goods, lifting animals, chatting. Come take a look, long time no see. Hey, how are you? How are you? I bought this crossing the river, and the crazy guy over there showing off his skills. Wow, this looks amazing. And the little children run around. Hey brats, be careful not to fall. The atmosphere is cheerful and relaxed. This is better than I thought. I never saw people laugh in my previous life. When the servant of chaos appeared and took over the world, the shadows swallowed up peace and laughter. There was no place for people to rest. So, people use corpses as blankets to keep the rain off. With the cold, the sleeves get wet and freeze when winter comes. I hope to be sent to a faraway land. Right at the beginning, yes, I'm here. Now that I'm here, I'm going to save this world. Then, one of the women looks over, something catches her eye, and other people start to comment. Young master, huh? What's going on here? Are you walking outside of the carriage? Hey, everyone come closer, come see. It's the young master. The young master is walking. Wow, he's really walking. Look at him walking. I didn't know he could walk. Ah, how strange. I feel so uncomfortable with all these people around me. Hey, young master, take this. I'm trying to lose weight. Now, how can I eat persimmons, huh? Young master, please try this. This is a new silk we just got. Hey, young master, the vase was made by a renowned craftsman. Why don't you give me a package? Take it home. And there was our protagonist carrying a bunch of stuff. Hey, stop it. Don't give me any more stuff. I just wanted to go for a walk. Oh, I just wanted to go for a walk without carrying anything. Do you understand? Hey, why are you giving me so many things? Oh, you know what? I could live like this for the rest of my life. The protagonist starts to pull his thoughts back to reality. Oh, no. If it's like this, I won't even be able to walk properly. And on impulse, he starts to throw things up in the air, but suddenly something catches his attention. Hey, what was that just now? Did I make a mistake? He looks at one of the houses and notices a very suspicious man standing there, saying to himself, he seems to have noticed me, but that's impossible. He couldn't walk a while ago. Are you saying he noticed your energy? Wait, I'll confirm. But before the man could act, our protagonist already appears next to him. The fat guy is not messing around. Hey, but the man prepares to attack. He knows he is dangerous. The protagonist prepares to defend the attack. The crazy guy lands a blow, and our hero spins around until he hits a wall on the other side of the street. Everyone wonders what happened. What was that? Young master, are you okay? My God, the young master fainted. And then the protagonist appears, all messed up on the floor. Yeah, guys, the fat guy is still not that well. Hey, let's get a doctor quickly. And the man starts running. It's that guy. Get him. Oh, damn it. But quickly our protagonist wakes up and asks, where is he? Where did that bastard go, huh? Oh my God. Are you awake? Young masters? Oh, I'll take care of that damn thing. Everyone is in suspense, but the protagonist, with a crooked smile, answers. Oh no, don't worry, it's nothing, I'm fine. It's just, oh damn, this hurts so much. Who the hell is that guy, huh? Why would such a strong martial artist be here, in the peaceful Anping Prefecture? No, that's not what matters. Anping Prefecture is just a dot on the wall. I need to improve my skills as soon as possible. Now that the basic training to circulate spiritual energy is almost complete, he thinks, I need to lose weight and get crucial information if I want to find the virgin ginseng. I guess I'll have to go to the beggar's den. The scene changes to the protagonist's father and his sister, who are talking while one of them is intrigued about the future. The father says, they say that philosophy and martial arts are connected. I think Hyung inherited my intelligence. It seems like he's destined to be a great general. Should I groom him for politics? What should I start first? The protagonist's sister interrupts. Father, stop thinking nonsense. It's still too early to send Hyung anywhere. Now, I know he's a genius in martial arts. Isn't it natural that I want to help him like your father? But he's barely even started walking. Are you acting like this because of the Namgung clan? When she says this, the protagonist's father becomes thoughtful. It may be that the Namgung clan rejected my marriage proposal because of Hyung, but that would have been Namgung Ye's own decision. She never wanted to get married since she was little. She wanted to live as a martial artist, not as someone who was forced to follow another path. Isn't it because of the Namgung clan? Father, you still? Then, the scene shifts to the past, with our protagonist's father remembering his wife's last moments as she hugged little Hyung. He thinks to himself, if I don't do this, I will always be haunted by the guilt I feel for Hyung. But our mother's death wasn't your fault. They were after me, not Hyung's mother. But I should have gone first. The scene changes again to a horse-drawn carriage, while two people are talking inside it. One of the men says, I'm sure they'll try to force this marriage idea again. From what I've heard, Yo Hyung is lazy, has been in bed for days, and is still fat with a kind of weak personality. Anyone could reject him, right? That's why we're here, right? Know your enemy and yourself, and then you'll never lose a battle. We need to know everything about Yo Hyung to reject him once and for all. And the one who said this was the patriarch of the Namgung clan, Hansu. Meanwhile, our protagonist suddenly sneezes. What? I wonder if someone is complimenting me behind my back. He stretches and continues. Oh, whatever. After getting up from the blow he had received, he thinks, why aren't they here? Then he starts walking through the city. What? There must be some beggar around here, in some alley. He asks around the alleys, but realizes that there is no one. Hey, why aren't there any beggars around here? The extra answers with an insecure expression. Oh, is this a joke, young master? There have been no beggars in Anping Prefecture for 20 years. The patriarch built houses for the vagrants and even gave them farms, agriculture, livestock, the whole package. Now it makes sense why everyone wants to give me something, thinks the protagonist. Hey, wait, remember, birds hear what you say during the day, and rats hear you at night. But do animals understand what we say? The beggars are more cunning than any animal. They are everywhere, in the shadows and behind walls. They have built such a large information network that they have become a veritable cult in the murim world. But wait, if there are no beggars around here, does that mean there is no branch of the beggars cult here? Young master, are you talking about the beggars cults? The scene then changes to a luxurious house, full of exquisite furniture and fine, decorative vases. A man is drinking tea while talking to the patriarch of the Namgung clan. I doubt the patriarch would come all this way just to have tea with me. He is here looking for information from Yo Hyung, who is talking about marrying into his family. Isn't he? And his name is Oh Hyun, similar to the protagonist's name. And he is the leader of the branch of the beggars cult in Amping Prefecture. Information that would help him reject the marriage proposal? As he says this, the patriarch stands there just thinking, what is the result of the beggar sect? Well, I'm sorry, but information about Yo Hyung is special, so we can't sell it before contacting the head office. Are you trying to haggle with me? Oh, how could I do that to you? The head office has never classified information about Hyung as heavenly level. Does it make any sense to you that information about a descendant, a mere schoolboy who isn't even in a sect, is managed by the head office? The crazy guy starts shouting behind the patriarch. Hey, it does since we're talking about the Yo family. If that old fool decides to rebel, not only the Amping branch, but even the head office will be in big trouble. And the patriarch, when he hears this, just grabs a handful of money and throws it on the table, saying, I'll pay any price. Oh, it seems like you didn't hear what I said. We need permission from the head office. And the guy doesn't stop. The patriarch now takes a ring from his finger and throws it on the table. When he does so, the branch leader says, the emperor's ring, just by having it, already means that you are under the protection of the Namgung clan. Father, how dare you do this? The scene changes to outside, where our protagonist is staring at the mansion. Meanwhile, he thinks, no wonder I couldn't find it. How should this be considered a den of beggars, huh? Oh, and a guard starts to glare at him, saying, hey, you there, fatso? Stop right there. And the guy comes at the protagonist with everything. Come back later, we have important guests inside. What? That bastard called me fatso? Oh, you cheeky bastard. How dare you offend me without even knowing me? Okay, just this once I'll hold back. Just this once, I'm no longer some nobody, the old Jin gang. Now, I'm the only son of the master of the Yo family. So take it back now while I'm still being polite. And the guy simply draws his sword, ready to warm up our boy. The grease has accumulated in your ears too. Huh? I told you to get lost. Go away, you pig. Stay here, and I'll really humiliate you. Our protagonist retorts, you've already humiliated me, and now you'll pay with blood. As he says this, the scene cuts to two men kneeling. One of them asks, yes, you Sung-won, the old tiger, are you doing well? He then returns to the leader of the beggars talking to the patriarch. Why would he offer something so valuable just to learn information about the young master? Does he really hate the idea of marrying young Hyung that much? We'll talk about how much you want it after you share this information with me. Since you insist, there's no way around it. This is all the information about Yo Hyung, up until yesterday. But you can't tell anyone that I was the one who gave it to you. I swear, on behalf of the Namgung clan, that I will keep this a secret. And the man quickly pulls out the document. Please enjoy reading. In the meantime, I will be writing the letter that I must send to the main headquarters. While the patriarch is analyzing the papers, outside, someone shouts, damn bastard. What's all this noise? I'm going to see what's going on, patriarch. When he reaches the window, he observes the chaos. Our protagonist taught the extra a lesson. The man says, I let my guard down. I never expected this fat guy to be so agile. You're good. Even without using internal energy, you managed to overcome the Sword of Infinite Heaven. Our boy laughs, oh, you call that the Sword of Infinite Heaven? What a joke. How dare you disrespect my clan's martial arts like that? Our boy replies, don't be ridiculous. I was just talking about you. The Sword of Infinite Heaven is an impressive technique, but you're terrible at it. Even if you swung that sword for the rest of your life, it would be useless. Give up already? It seems like you're a bastard of the clan, but it's not too late for you to apologize to me. The opponent, furious, advances shouting, a bastard? You dare insult the Namgung clan with that fat tongue of yours? And he comes to warm up our boy's cheek, but he calmly stares at the sword, while the extra just says, you fat guy. Now you won't get any more warnings after this. But our boy just replies, you drew the sword first. Now hold on. In a quick movement, he bends down, prepares his fist, and gives the extra a softening of the belly, who flies with his mouth open. Before the man hits the ground, our protagonist grabs him by the hair. You should have gotten out of my way while I was being polite. And with that, he lands a good smack on the head of the unfortunate man, who starts to receive a series of cheek warmings. But our boy gives no respite. He grabs him by the collar of his shirt and throws him again on the ground, causing an impact so strong that it echoes throughout the place. Without wasting time, he pulls the extra once more and, with a dark look, declares, it seems that the Namgung clan didn't teach you any good manners, huh? Don't worry, I'll teach you a little today. Be grateful for my teaching. The protagonist's face displays an almost psychotic smile as he begins to deliver a series of blows to the unfortunate man. Punches and slaps fly while the extra, already without strength, begs him to stop. Suddenly, someone shouts from above, stop right now. Our protagonist looks up, only to see another warrior leaping from above, landing between him and the extra with force. Idiot, says the patriarch's son, who has just arrived, glaring at the protagonist. Our boy quickly backs away, but he charges forward, shouting, not so fast. What is this familiar feeling? Thinks the protagonist, as he sees the man filling his fist with golden energy and declaring, Mystic Lightning Explosive Fist. Damn, my current body is not prepared to deal with this. I'll have to improvise. As the blow advances, Our boy mutters to himself. If he's using lightning to spin the energy and increase the impact, I just need to spin in the opposite direction and nullify the pressure. At that moment, the patriarch watches everything from the window, shocked by the scene. Our protagonist was holding his son's fist, neutralizing the attack. What? The power of my fist is being reduced? Says the patriarch's son, incredulous. Our boy then recognizes the energy. This technique is from my old master, the leader of the beggar sect. He then goes back to his past, where his master, calmly in the shadows, watches him train, saying that he is very distracted. While our boy was there suffering, counting 29,996, 29,997, 29,998, 29,999, 30,000. Just as he was about to strike the last blow, he lost his balance and fell into the water. You fell because your stance with the sword was unstable. Strike 10,000 more. The training continued, and the protagonist in his past life continued to exchange blows with his mentor until he was hit by a blow that threw him to the ground. A ball of bruises appeared on his head. What the hell was that guy? Who would use the handle of a sword as a club? But when he said that, his master just stared at him with a demonic aura, and our boy, frightened, quickly corrected himself. Master, that's not what I meant. If you are so angry, it means that you have finally understood the true foundation of the Sword of Seven Emotions. There is no greater joy than a master seeing his disciple evolve. Now, I will help you evolve even faster, says the master, before launching another crushing blow at him. Back in the present, our protagonist realizes that the opponent's energy carries the same feeling. Before he can react, he is thrown away, and he flies backwards somewhat disoriented. And the patriarch's son shouts, "How dare you do this just because my subordinate went easy on you," while our boy tries to process what happened. But despite the impact, the protagonist managed to disperse part of the power of the explosive lightning mystic fist, but his body feels the damage. Around, people watch the scene in horror, and the patriarch's son wonders how he did it. The Hyung, injured and furious, slowly gets up, clenching his fists. "I'm going to finish this bastard off," he mutters angrily, saying that he's going to teach this bastard a lesson. But before they can continue, several people appear between them, interrupting the confrontation. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, our boy falls to the ground. "Young master!" The young master fainted. Young master, quick, call a doctor." And that was number 1,863 of faintings that Hyung has had. While the patriarch was there, a little apprehensive, watching everything that happened, the leader of the Beggars Branch comments. "Ah, there you are. I sent the letter to the main branch. We'll hear from them soon. What's all this commotion over there, huh?" "Ah, young master. What? And Yo Hyung? Hyung? What did you say? Who did you say he was again?" "Young master Yo Hyung." He runs through the crowd to help the young master. "Who was the wretched bastard who did this cruel thing to young master Hyung?" he asks, pulling the protagonist's eyes there. Everyone stares at the culprit, the same one who had beaten our boy. He, visibly nervous, mutters, "Dad, I think I'm screwed. Looks like I won't be needing this anymore. I knew this would happen. This all happened because of that beggar sect, or whatever damn sect it is. Patriarch, the beggar sect has nothing to do with this. This was all done by the Namgung clan." The patriarch of the Namgung clan, already stiff, seemed not to know what to do. "Sir, Sung only did that because he didn't know that was the young master. Are you saying that it would be okay for him to attack an innocent person if it wasn't Hyung?" No, that's not it. If you weren't Changsuin's son, and if he wasn't someone who could be Hyung's future brother-in-law, I would have cut your head off right here." "What are you doing, patriarch?" He's using sound transmission, a technique that allows him to communicate with others privately. "Get on your knees now. What will you do if Patriarch Yo calls the palace guards because of your mistake?" Meanwhile, the patriarch of the Namgung clan tries to ease the situation. "Do I really need to go that far? You idiot. You're looking at the former imperial military advisor, who even the current emperor respects. Come on, do what I say." Hearing this, the patriarch of the Namgung clan becomes thoughtful, not knowing what to do. Until someone comments, "Son-in-law, get ready. I'm going to the imperial palace. Mr. Yo, I apologize. It was I who made the mistake. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." "Mr. Yo, patriarch," the sycophants start to act. "Let me go. Can't you see that my son is on the verge of death? My only son. He's the reason for my life." Soon after, the young master comes out with a weird hairstyle asking, "What are you guys doing now?" "Huh? What happened to his hair?" "I don't know. Look, the young master is so cute. I heard that Sujin tied his hair for you. It's obvious if you look at how it got tied. Young master, you shouldn't untie it. Oh, it's always like this. Is this hairstyle popular among young people these days? I doubt it. It'll be easier if you just give up. Son, are you okay?" The leader of the Beggars Branch rushes to our boy, worried. "Oh my god. Young master, how are you feeling? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. You're amazing. Are you really okay after being hit by Mr. Namgung?" He keeps wagging his tail like a dog. "How did you get so agile? You should have called me earlier. What did you say?" He walks forward while the patriarch of the Namgung clan comments, "Oh my, sorry for being late to greet you, Hyung." Our protagonist simply bows towards the patriarch, who is surprised. "What? Hyung?" Meanwhile, he thinks, "Father of the Namgung clan, Changsun, brothers of consideration, Father Yu Sung-wan, son of the Namgung clan, Hansuk, son of Yu Sung Hwan and Yo Hyung. Father, what were you talking about? Do you want to go to the Imperial Palace? Oh, I was going to report the crimes of those martial arts practitioners. Don't worry, Father. Do you think the Emperor has free time for something like that? Oh, that's right, my son. I think I overreacted. But I won't forgive you, you bastard. You hit my son. He looks seriously at the other patriarch's son. Oh, you're Sung? Aren't you? Well, it's very nice to meet you. I'm Yo Hyung. Even though you're older, I'm technically your uncle, since our parents consider each other brothers. And then it shows them our protagonist at 17 and Sung at 20. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this day? Hey, stop it. Hey, I'm your uncle, you know? Your UNC uncle. Ah, your hand. Nice to meet you, you little rascal. And then it's explained to us that, in the future, Sung will be known as Sword King Namgung Sung, one of the 6 Orthodox saints. And my old master, a very peculiar fellow, and he remembers him there, slapping our guys around and smiling like it was nothing. He's super good at using his sword as a club to tenderize other people's flesh. Oh, stop it. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me anymore. Oh, Wigong? Yes, master. How dare you, huh? Yes? Throwing your sword on the ground, being a martial artist, and he's already coming to give the poor guy a few more slaps. Do you intend to throw your sword and beg for your life to your opponent when you're in a real fight? You still need to learn more. Oh, that damn smile, isn't it? The peculiar guy while slapping our boy. Wigong? Yes, master. And back to the present. Our protagonist saying, yeah, I might have forgotten about that. Uncle, please take your hand away. But suddenly he starts crying, remembering. I might have forgotten about that, but my body remembers it like it was yesterday. That's why I froze for a moment before. Just wait, you damn peculiar master. I'm gonna make you pay. And then they enter the house, and everyone sits at the table and starts talking. Young, why are you here? Are you by any chance here to talk about the marriage proposal? About that? I'm sorry, but I'm not going to accept your marriage proposal. Young, what are you talking about, my son? Father, I know you love me and care about me, but please respect my wishes this time. While in his head, he keeps killing himself inside. You must be disappointed too, but there's nothing to be done. It's not right to perform arranged marriages without the consent of both important parties. Even if I'm trapped in this body and in Anping Prefecture now, I can't live like a frog trapped in a well forever. Can I? I have a duty to help the Emperor by watching over the next generation, who is the future of our country. He already imagines himself there, pointing, looking like an emperor in the mountains, and everyone there weeding along with him, happily. And I won't just be watching over them. I need to interact with them and improve myself, while learning about how the world works. And, at the same time, I move around and learn many other things. I can also pass for murim. What stupidity is this, my son? Passing for murim? That's just a place full of cheaters, troublemakers, and people who are just plain mean. Why would you go to such a place? Are those guys already there? Cheaters, troublemakers, vandals? Are you saying that Namgung Chang's son, who is your brother-in-law, is also a troublemaker? And then, the protagonist's father stands there, kind of thoughtful. Martial arts practitioners have their own ways to live in murim. And that's also how they learn, isn't it? And then our protagonist looks at the patriarch of the Namgung clan and says, I'm sure it's the same for you, isn't it? This guy should have followed the lead of what I just said. If I'm trying to make it clear that I'm not getting married, you should just say thank you and agree. What a stubborn guy. Couldn't he just listen to his foolish little brother's request? Still, you mean to say that your clan? Oh, I'll assume that you two agreed to my request, so I'm leaving and our boy just turns his back on them, saying only, I'm going, and no one can even say anything. Branch manager, please come with me for a moment. Sure, young master. The man already starts running after our protagonist. Oh, come here, let's have a little chat. And he already looks at the man from the beggar's branch with a wicked face. No need to get so nervous. The two patriarchs stand there staring at each other, not even knowing what just happened. They stood there, all dull, and without any topic to talk about. Young master, your hair looks a little different. Oh, I was wondering why no one had said anything about it yet. Did something happen? It doesn't look good on me? No, your hair is really pretty. If that's what you're thinking, it looks really good on you. Wow, so cute, that's exactly what his face says. Damn, I already told her not to do that. Sir, it seems like your family loves you very much. Never mind, let's have our talk now. Yes, sure please. I didn't know you were so interested in murin. I can hardly believe you know about the martial arts practitioners who are just starting to become famous. Isn't it natural that I, as someone who has just started learning martial arts, would be curious about them? Oh, sure. And then, our protagonist starts remembering all his old masters as he speaks. You damn masters, are you okay, right? Just wait for me. I'll hunt you all down, just like you wanted. I'll make you go through the same hell I went through. He starts remembering all the tortures he suffered in his past life. It's definitely going to be a good experience for me. Meanwhile, the poor branch manager doesn't understand anything. Young master, what do you need? Well, murin is divided into the orthodox sections, isn't it? Demonic orthodox now? Well, to be more specific, there's also the border, but there's no need to care about them. They're just busy surviving. That's all for now. However, they'll be reunited under that damn servant's command in 10 years. As expected, this is not the time to mess around. I need to accumulate more spiritual energy as soon as possible. Only then will I be able to defeat that damn servant. And most importantly, I need to harvest my first disciple. Young master? Excuse me. Young master, are you listening to me? My dear Sung, just wait for me. And the guy is dying to beat Sung. Why do I suddenly feel so creepy? So, our protagonist returns home with Huang, and they're there in his natural pool. Now rest. You passed out and only woke up yesterday. It will be really bad if you pass out in the water. But, while Huang was saying this, our protagonist was already stretching so he could dive once more. Oh, why are you acting like this? Are you worried about me now? Or is it because you were kicked out of being the main gate guard? No. That's not it. How can you be so cold to me? Hyung, what do you think you're doing? You should take care of yourself and rest. The moment the protagonist's sister says this and arrives there with her bodyguard, who I still don't understand if he's a man or a woman, Huang is already blushing, looking at him or her. What the hell is this? What are you trying to do, Huang? Nothing, it's nothing, young master. What are you doing that didn't stop him? Miss, it's not like that. Do you know how dangerous it is in Murin? Oh my mother. Oh my mother. And she starts to cry. Yeah, I also know that she died because of the matters in Murin. And that's why Murin brings pain to the family and no one talks about this place. But even if they do, the hurts won't separate and we can't just be sad forever. Why are you being so scared? Doesn't that sound like you? Do I look that weak? Nothing sad will happen to the Yo clan again because I won't let it happen. Ho, that was a good sentence. That was a good sentence. He thinks to himself. And his sister, upon hearing that, stands there all blushing, thinking, I get it. You're not a child anymore, are you? I still thought of you as just a child, but you grew up without me noticing. Why is she acting like this to me all of a sudden? He wonders as she looks at him, all smiles. That's a little strange, but that's how it is. I wonder if this is what it's like to have a family. He remembers that his family was massacred in his past life. After that, his sister leaves. So, he dives into the pool once more and gets out. The time has come, and our protagonist is already much thinner. Young master, please be careful, you might fall. And Huang continues by saying, you need to like this video. This concludes another video of this story. Hey guys, I can see that you're really enjoying the story of our chubby Murim, so I've already brought the sequel because I know you want to see our chubby boy getting thinner and defeating the extras, and I'll just say one thing. Get ready. So, without further ado, get up. Do you remember that the last video ended with our protagonist's sister arriving at the stream and getting upset with him? But after our boy said those powerful words, she couldn't resist and ended up realizing that her little brother had grown up. When she left him there and our boy dived back into the water, the scene jumps to him appearing much thinner. What the hell is this? I thought our boy was already all handsome and muscular, but he's just a sagging skin. What the hell is this here again? What? Anhui province? No, you're so skinny, you're all bones. What if you slip on the ice and break everything? Based on what I heard from the branch manager, it's snowing heavily in Hangswan, and the view is magnificent. The protagonist is covered in fallen skin. He looks like an old man now. That bastard. Those scoundrel beggars keep putting stupid ideas in my son's head. I've been thinking about stopping by the Namgung clan too. Why would you go there? Why else, old man? He's already starting to think all sorts of evil thoughts. I need to train my dear Sung, since they're like family. I guess I've been too negligent with them. I'd also like to give my regards to my uncle, please. Allow me to go. Damn it. Those guys made a huge mess in our village. Why would you look for them? Anyway, I'll be visiting Anhui province. I'll be back safe and sound. Don't worry, father. I assume I have your permission. So, I'll be taking my leave now. Oh, please, my son, wait a moment. But our boy disappears at the same time. Now he's determined to go. I know he will, even if he has to sneak out. What should I do? The scene changes to our protagonist, dressed as a ninja, sorting out some clothes and saying, I can't travel as myself anymore. I need to avoid people recognizing me and go back to being the free me, Jin Wigong. But when he says this, there are already a lot of people waiting for him outside. Why are there a lot of people waiting for me outside, Young master, have you arrived? What's all this? What else? It's the squad that will go to Anhui with you. Why are they going to Anhui? Didn't the patriarch tell you? What? We'll accompany you to Anhui. He remembers the old man there. I'm very proud of you, my son. That crazy old man. He immediately grabs and erases his father's thoughts. What the hell do I do now? I was going to get the virgin ginseng to defeat that damn servant of chaos. No one must find out about this. If I tell people that I need to defeat that shitty servant to prevent the imminent chaos, what will they think? Then he already thinks about his father. I'll defeat him if you can't save him. He starts to argue with the poor doctor. Dad will make another scene again, and I won't be able to explain the situation. I can't get caught. Young master, let's go. Huang, all smiles, with a rope in his hand already. First, I need to get rid of that leech Huang. Then, he remembers a small jar with a black liquid and takes it, saying, Alright, there's that. Since it's already late, he says, let's rest for a day before we leave. We'll leave tomorrow? Don't we need to hurry? We have time. What is this, a drink? Sorry? Now that I think about it, I've never had a drink with you. You've always worked so hard to protect me and have always been by my side. Then, when he says this, Huang gets all emotional and says, Young master, just throw this away and follow me. He grabs Huang, who walks in there, all smiles. Some time later, do you know how much I've suffered until now? I'm so sorry I didn't notice. Miss, I'll go announce your arrival. Never mind, they must be talking. Did you say Huang is leaving? You sure managed to make my little brother look cute the whole time. Oh boy, Was this the one who's been combing the protagonist's hair this whole time? The princess's guard. It's so much fun to dress him up, but now it's not so cool anymore. Oh damn, don't you know who Hyung looks like? Yes miss, our miss. So, when I heard that you fought with the Namgoon clan, as if you had helped me a lot, she listens to the whole conversation, all cute, thinking, I'll be back later. You should go rest too. There you go with that habit again. You intend to wait for him alone, don't you? I'll stay here with you. You can go. And then, she starts pushing him to walk and leave. A little more time passes and finally our protagonist comes out there, all hidden. But, as he looks back, he sees Huang drinking and falling to the ground, unconscious. Oh, you bastard. And he starts shouting, how can you lie in front of an inspector? But, suddenly he falls to the ground again. Since this is a poison that temporarily disperses the person's internal energy, he shouldn't be able to move until tomorrow. That saved me a lot. And he remembers a conversation he had with the Imperial Doctor while he was applying a cream to our protagonist's face. The reason your skin is like this is because you've lost weight drastically. Even if it takes some time to get better, at least this will help you a little. You should apply it routinely and put on these bandages. And this is a poison that disperses internal energy. Take it with you in case of emergencies. Use it when you encounter an opponent you can't defeat. You'll buy yourself some time to escape this way. That's why our boy is all bandaged up. It's to help his skin return to normal. What a useful old man. I hope you understand. This is for the good and protection of the Yo clan and Murin. But who was waiting for him outside is leaving without saying goodbye. Nona, damn it. I finally got rid of Huang. Take care of yourself and come back safely. She hugs the protagonist. If you find it too difficult, you can come back at any time. Both me and father will always be here waiting for you. And then, the scene changes to our protagonist, who is getting on his horse to continue his journey. If you go to the stable, there's a lightning steed that the Emperor granted us. You will be able to find it easily due to the unique color of its pupil. I never thought I would ride a lightning steed in my life. He looks at his house and thinks, well, now I have to leave, and he starts running with the horse. They pass through a frozen forest and various scenarios until they finally reach the province of Anhui, territory of the Namgoon clan. Good job! We finally arrived. He looks down and sees a small village with simple houses. People there drinking, and a man who ate several portions of food. Hey vendor. In fact, it was already the protagonist who was eating his fill there. Call me all the ginseng diggers and hunters who know Han Suang like the back of their hand. The scene changes to some guys in a cult in a very strange place, as they say, we found the virgin ginseng from Anhui province. Great, let's go then. And it seems that this is the servant of chaos. After calling all the people in the village, they all gather in front of our protagonist while they stare at him, somewhat confused. May I ask why you are visiting our village? This man is quite suspicious, but no one knows that he is Master Hyung. Could he be a bandit? Guys, I am not a strange person or a bandit, even with this appearance. I am from Anping Prefecture, and these bandages are for facial care. What? Shit, I almost made a big mistake. I am a person who works in the Yo clan, and I am from Anping Prefecture. The protagonist was about to reveal his identity. I am Jin Wigong, and I am here to look for something for the son of the former military advisor, Mr. Yu Sung-won. I heard that there is a pebble in Huang that emits a certain crimson light. Has anyone seen it? Pebble? Crimson light? When I first heard this from my masters, I thought they were talking nonsense. The crazy guy there starts to explain what the pebble looks like. A pebble that emits crimson light? It doesn't make sense, does it? Could it be that? Do you happen to know about it? I don't think it emits light by itself, but it has a certain red glow. I saw it when I was lost in the mountains, back when I was still young. When the sun sets in the west, there is a pebble that glows red as it reflects the sunlight. It was like a ray of red light. Where is it? Well, sir, where is it? Well, it's a place deep within Huangshuang, known as Pagoda Mountain. Pagoda Mountain? Sir, you shouldn't go there. Why? That's where the Nine Dragons Fort is. Fort? You mean mountain bandits? They're not just any mountain bandits. They've been a lawless and evil group since my grandfather's time. He points to a crazy man with a psychopathic expression. Rumor has it that some of them even know martial arts. Oh yes, that's where it is. The Virgin Ginseng. Since no one else, other than the members of the Nine Dragons Fort, will go to that place. I'm sure it's there. The protagonist thanks the man. Sir, can you guide me to where Pagoda Mountain is? Young man, please reconsider. I have to go there. If it's hard for you to take me, at least tell me where it is. The man looks apprehensively at the protagonist. This is very important to me, right? I'll take you to a place where you can see Mount Pagoda. Old Oxen, are you serious? In return, please promise that we'll come back if things don't look good. Thank you. Then they walk through a frozen forest. The man finally points. This is it. He points to a gigantic mountain and says, even though the stream doesn't look very deep, it's deep enough that you can't see the bottom. If it's that deep, I think I'll need a boat or a ride. Where's the pebble? It's around that area, I think. The sun will set soon. Then you can see for yourself. Some time passes, and when the sun finally sets, a red light begins to be emitted by the mountain. Now stop making me wait and show your true self. At the bottom of the mountain, a red light begins to radiate. The protagonist observes and says, it's over there. That's the place. Sir, it will soon be nightfall. Please move away from this area before it gets completely dark. Don't you want me to wait for you here? If we get caught by the mountain bandits, you will be in danger. There may be people I can't defeat with my current level of martial arts. That's a lot. Don't worry. Just go. Goodbye. The protagonist says goodbye to the old man and quickly starts to descend the mountain. He jumps with ease, as if it were something trivial. When he falls into the river, it is explained that he is on Mount Pagoda. No one would have imagined that I would cross this river in this freezing winter. That's great. I am more confident in the water. The scene then changes to the Nine Dragons Fort, where the protagonist hides among the houses. As the protagonist hides behind the houses, a conversation can be heard coming from inside the fort. We need to sell these people we captured from the province of Ong. It seems that these idiots kidnapped some villagers. But let's leave that aside for now. Finding the virgin ginseng is my priority. He begins to channel his spiritual energy, concentrating it in his hands. If the virgin ginseng is within 30 feet, I'm sure he'll react to my energy. Where are you, virgin ginseng? Wait, what is this? While he was spreading his energy around that place, a man opens the door, pulling the woman by her hair and throwing her to the ground, and then tenderizing her flesh. While she was lying on the ground, our protagonist watched the scene from afar, his gaze fixed on the man's brutality. You bastard, he thought, his fists clenched in anger. The man, without any respect, began to call the woman in a degrading way, referring to her as a woman who does jobs to get money. With each word, the protagonist's hatred only grew, and he could barely contain the desire to go ahead and finish off that wretch. And then a crying child appears in the house too, and the man looks at the poor child with an evil look. Then the woman screams, calling him trash, and asking, how can you do something like that? While holding the foot of the man, who simply gives her another cheek warmer. And our boy, overcome with rage, restrains himself with effort, fighting the urge to act immediately. I must control myself. I must control myself. He repeats to himself, trying to remain calm. Remember, don't get involved in any more trouble until you regain your strength. I must find the virgin ginseng, even if it means postponing the search for justice and honor. He watches the man beating the poor woman, while she continues to suffer. Should I just stand by and watch this, all in the name of murim, to prevent an even greater evil? He thinks, overcome with frustration. Damn masters, just this once I will let that man escape. Once I get the virgin ginseng, I will make sure that each and every one of you pay for this, you bastards, he thinks angrily. Meanwhile, the little child continues to cry, grieving for his mother's pain, and the protagonist walks away, consumed by rage, but aware that he cannot act until he regains his strength. He thinks to himself, furious, you want me to control myself? Just watch? No, I won't do that. He begins to channel his energy, and in his thoughts he continues to say, if I have to close my eyes to such atrocities, what's the point of saving murim? I'd rather everything fall apart. He looks back at the attacker, with a threatening aura surrounding him. Meanwhile, the little child continues to cry, and the mother, desperate, screams for the man to stop hurting them both. The man, relentless, approaches with his hand raised to attack her again. However, there is only a snap, and the man falls unconscious to the ground while the little girl continues to cry. Our protagonist simply says, shit, those clothes are really expensive, you know? There's red juice splashed on them now. When the child sees that scene, she stops crying, gathers courage, and asks, sir, did you just save us? He looks at the girl and answers, what are you looking at, you little brat? Oh, no way. I was just passing by. Her mother grabs the child, who was already crying again, asking who our protagonist was. He stays there without being able to reveal who he really is. But then he just takes his hand while they hide in fear. But in fact, he was just throwing his coat so that they would be well wrapped up in that cold. We don't have time. Get up now. Huh? Where are the rest of you? Oh, they're inside. When she points there, a man starts to come out of the house, asking what all the commotion was and who that damn guy was over there. Suddenly, the scene changes completely. Now our protagonist appears talking to his master. Master, I'm going to give you a massage. Huh? Do you want to do it now? Yeah. Okay, then let's try. When he is about to give the massage, he grabs his master's neck and says, die, you bastard, die. But the scene returns to the village, with our boy carrying two unconscious men. Our chubby boy was not in the mood for games. As he walks, he says, let's go in. They'll make a fuss if they see us. And then, when he is entering the house, he grabs them and says, those bastard pigs. Why are they so heavy? However, when he looks ahead, he sees several people who had been kidnapped by those men. He asks them, what's going on here? And what's wrong? I may look like that, but I'm here to save you, you know? The girl's mother grabs them and says, it's true, he rescued us. All of you, listen carefully. I'm going to help you escape this place. Are you from the government? How many bandits are there here? We can't see all of them, but there are probably around 50. Oh, that's a lot more than I expected. What if some of them also know martial arts? Sir, are there government troops waiting outside the fortress? Oh, of course not, I'm alone. The only thing I can do is give you time to escape. The rest is up to you. Damn, that's why I shouldn't have gotten involved. What am I going to do now? It looks like we're going to die anyway. Please tell us what we can do, or where we can go. Okay, you'll lead them from now on. The scene then changes to a hut up there, used by the men to keep an eye on the whole place. One of them comes in shouting, you bastards. What are you doing, huh? Get out now. By the time he enters, the men are so unconscious that our protagonist has already knocked them down. Huh? What happened here, huh? But as soon as he says this, he suddenly gets hit in the neck, falling hard to the ground. Who the hell are you? Our protagonist looks up at the cabin, while a man with a torch wipes his eyes, wondering what is happening. Quickly, our boy advances at high speed towards the cabin, concentrating an aura in his fist, while the man asks himself, who the hell are you? Before the man can react, our protagonist says, go to hell. He punches the cabin with such force that its entire structure cracks, sending it flying down the hill. The man screams, desperate, not understanding what has just happened. Everyone there wonders, what was that? The cabin just fell down? They remember our protagonist's words. Remember, the watchtower collapsing will be the signal. Now, all of you, let's go. With that, everyone starts running desperately, while our protagonist continues his attack. He arrives, breaks one of the doors, grabs the torch, and throws it inside the hut, setting it on fire. In a short time, the fire spreads and the hut goes up in flames, while he says, I'm gonna raise hell from now on. The men who were sleeping there in that place suddenly start to wake up to the smell of smoke, wondering what that smell was. One of them then realizes that one of the huts is on fire. They quickly start to wake up and try to put out the fire. But when one of the men opens the door to go towards the fire, he is thrown back even faster by our protagonist. They ask themselves, who are you, huh? Our protagonist answers, without hesitation, oh me? Who else would it be? I'm the arsonist. Damn rat has infiltrated. He's running after him. After him. Take him to the corner. He's just another enemy, come on. He's a boy with bandages all over his body. He's here. No, he's over there. Our protagonist continues to run away from them with the flaming torch, setting all the huts on fire. He thinks, it's too much to deal with all of you at once. Even if you're not strong individually, when you're together, your strength multiplies. They shout, quick, he's over there. Come on. Our protagonist thinks, if only I had fortified energy and could manifest energy, it wouldn't be a problem to deal with these men. The explanation comes, fortified energy is the last level of martial arts that practitioners can reach, while manifested energy is when a person can release their energy freely. Suddenly, one of the men appears in front of our protagonist with a spear, shouting, die you bastard. Our boy quickly dodges the blow, counterattacking with a punch to the center of the man, who is thrown away. He thinks, I can only fight according to the situation. Even if it's not ideal, since martial arts have consumed a lot of my spiritual energy, I need to focus the energy on my legs to move quickly. Ambushing them is the only way to survive. And so, our protagonist keeps running, setting fire to all the other huts and hiding from them as he ambushes each one. The scene changes to two men guarding the gate, when, suddenly, a small stone falls next to one of them. He looks to the side, picks up the stone, and when he looks back, he sees that the rest of the cabin is on fire. Seriously, what's happening? Is there an intruder or something? Oh my, we let the intruder pass. They start running towards the cabin. The cabins, my god, we're going to die if the chief finds out. Hurry, everyone run away. Everyone run away. All those people who were trapped before start escaping from the village and run desperately. Meanwhile, the woman with her daughter in her arms, who is now asleep, prays for our protagonist to be okay. Our boy keeps running and setting fire to the cabins. He thinks, damn, my spiritual energy is exhausted. I need to attract more attention to buy time, so the others can escape. But, while he was lost in his thoughts, the man appears with a nunchaku, trying to hit our protagonist. Damn, he's fast. The man hits the target, sending our protagonist's hat flying away. Our boy is thrown backwards, rolling, but quickly recovers. The man yells, asking, who the fuck are you? Hey, what's with that look? Did you cover yourself with bandages because you're so ugly? He starts to mock our protagonist, saying, are you alone? Shit, you're all martial artists. Our protagonist replies, yeah, I'm alone. The man with the eye patch smirks. Ho ho, hurry up, surround him. Our protagonist thinks, oh shit, of course I came alone. Why would I need a group to deal with you? But in his head, he keeps thinking, please be scared, be scared. But the man just smirks and says, interesting. So you're telling me you took this brave step alone, aren't you? Our protagonist feels frustrated, thinking, oh, he wasn't scared, he got it bad, what the hell? More importantly, it seems that the blow I took hurt more than I thought. The other men are already surrounding our protagonist, preventing him from escaping. Hey, what are you guys doing? Are you going to wait until everything is over? The men, upon hearing the order, realize the situation and run towards the fire to try to put it out. Yes, boss, you can do it. You can do it, boss. Meanwhile, our protagonist remains where he is watching. The villain then says, with a confident tone, I am the commander of the fort of the 9 dragons, Waki Sosan. What? You want to introduce myself too? Go look for possums and stop messing around. You have courage and strength. How about working for me? Our protagonist, surprised, quickly thinks, this guy is trying to recruit me now? He's crazy. But maybe I should take the chance since he's giving me time to act. He then sits on the ground, relaxing for a moment, and trying to buy time for the trapped citizens to escape, asks the villain, do you want me to become a mountain bandit? Waki Sosan, with a confident smile, answers, yes, you have no idea how difficult it is to recruit people for this kind of life, but you have what it takes. You are strong and defiant. You would be the perfect choice. What do you think? Our protagonist, still thoughtful, and why are you trying to seem so important? You don't even have that much internal energy. do you? Waki-so-san, unfazed, continues. If you accept my offer, I will forget this incident, and you will be treated with the same consideration I give to all my allies. Our protagonist smiles at him sarcastically. Is this how you're trying to convince me? Let's see what you can do. Waki-Sausen's subordinates, impatient, begin to murmur. Boss, why don't we face him once and for all? It seems he doesn't care about you. Come on, let's make him fall. Our protagonist responds firmly, without being intimidated. That sounds interesting, while the villain agrees, saying that this is a great proposal. But our boy just stands up saying, that should be enough. I've already managed to recover some of my strength. But have you ever heard that old saying? What saying? Why would a wolf be a servant to a pack of mongrels like you? And upon hearing this, the villain becomes very angry with our protagonist. But our boy just says, how about a one-on-one between the wolf and a mutt? You must be getting furious. Do you want to defeat me? Why don't you come at me? You bastard. You're not going to make it through the night. Finish him off. And all those extras come jumping at our protagonist at once, trying to defeat our boy, who confidently goes after them. As the enemies approach, one of them tries to attack with a quick blow. Our protagonist barely dodges, but the cut hits his clothes. He thinks, this cowardly bastard, trying to get me while I was off guard. How dare he try a blow like that on me? And the villain, upon seeing our protagonist's face, starts mocking him, calling him old because of his appearance, while he continues to dodge more attacks from all those extras who are trying to hit our boy. Don't you look in the mirror? What did you say? At least I look like a human, and you look more like a bunch of ugly ogres. Once again, the enemies advance, but he dodges, jumping and avoiding the blows. One of them tries to hit him in the air, but he spins and lands a well-aimed kick on the opponent's head. He thinks a little irritated. I thought I'd already knocked some of them down, but they keep coming after me. What the hell? The attacks continue to come from all sides, and one of the extras concentrates his power and hits our boy, who goes flying backwards, but quickly recovers. However, the enemies don't stop and keep coming at our boy, who dodges all those blows, but he thinks, I can't breathe properly anymore. It's getting hard, but I have to keep fighting. I can't stop now. The enemy advances with his spear, trying to catch our protagonist. He quickly crouches, dodges the attack, and, in the next moment, another opponent appears, trying to land a well-aimed blow. The impact hits him, and he is thrown backwards. The leader watches the scene, impressed. You are more skilled than I thought. How did you manage to resist for so long without using your internal energy? I did my best, but who told you I didn't use any? I used all my internal energy. Our protagonist, although stunned by the force of the blow, reflects. Did I underestimate the situation too much? They are experienced fighters. What can I do now? Maybe I made a mistake, but at least I managed to save those people. He stands up, takes a deep breath, and composes himself. I can't give up now. Even if I have to leave the virgin ginseng behind, I can't stop here. I will keep fighting. The leader, with a disdainful smile, gives the order. You have courage, but it is beyond your reach. Let's end this now. The enemies begin to advance, quickly preparing for the final attack. Our protagonist, with calm confidence, thinks, now it is time to act. After I solidify my center of gravity, I must let my body flow as if it were a sugarcane stalk being blown by the wind. You bastards. Take a good look at this. With that, he begins to move with extreme fluidity, skillfully dodging every attack that comes his way. His movements are quick, almost graceful, and he follows a technique that seems to flow with the same lightness as a leaf in the wind. As he dodges, our protagonist reflects. I'm still not at my best with the technique of the immortal step of the 8 drunkards, but I won't let that stop me. And the enemies are left wondering what those movements were that our boy just made, but he answers that it was nothing. Then he concentrates even more energy in his feet, preparing for the next move. And he shouts, shadowless flight. Now is the time. Let's see what you have. As Hyung advances, he tries to attack the leader of the enemies, shouting angrily. But the protagonist, with incredible skill, manages to land a direct hit on that villain. But he says that it's not enough yet. The enemy, now frustrated, sees that there is an unexpected reaction and becomes even more irritated. You're harder to catch than I imagined, but still, I'll catch you. Our protagonist realizes that, despite his skill, he wouldn't be able to defeat them now. With that, he makes a quick decision. He runs towards a cliff. When he starts to fall down the mountain, he says with a mocking expression, now is my chance to gain time and escape. This cliff seems to be very high. I doubt any of them will want to jump to come after me too. The leader, furious with the escape, orders an immediate search. No matter what happens, we're going to search every corner. I need to make sure he pays for this. The subordinates begin to disperse, while the leader still can't believe the protagonist's audacity. This won't stay like this. However, one of the extras arrives telling him that the building that had all the people trapped is now completely empty. And upon hearing this, their leader can only think about how much he wants to end our boy after this. That bastard, did he help people escape while he was buying time by fooling me at that moment? I'm gonna end the race of that kid's entire family. He's gonna pay for making me look like an idiot. And all the extras are scared by the terrifying aura that their leader is emanating. Quick, search every corner and bring all the fugitives back. Meanwhile, our hero is in the air, falling towards the water. He thinks to himself, aware of the risk of his decision. I have only one chance to get out alive. I need to be as soft as possible when I land. As he falls into the water, he tries to control the impact, but quickly realizes that he is deeper than he imagined. The current is stronger. I need to react quickly. He swims hard against the current, trying to get to the surface. However, he soon asks himself, why did I stop swimming? What happened? Damn, that's fast. But then he fell into a whirlpool of water that starts pulling him. Damn, holy shit. And then he keeps being dragged by the current, while saying, damn, I can just resist this. I need to trust my body and the flow of the water. The water starts dragging him to the bottom of the ocean and keeps pulling him. And then he uses all his internal energy to jump back to the surface. And finally our boy made it. I survived. He starts spitting a lot of water from his mouth. Everywhere. Damn. I can't believe I managed to escape. I need to rest. I want to lose weight. The virgin ginseng. Never mind. But while he was thinking about this, something catches his attention. Then he says, is the spiritual energy of my heart reacting? Could it be? Go ahead. Go and find it soon. Yes, it's the virgin ginseng. Then he asks himself, while looking around, where is he? I'm sure I fell off the waterfall. Where am I? How long was I floating in the water? Could it be? I can't believe it. That's it. Finally, he remembers the master saying, you'll find him in no time. Oh, you damned beggar. I should have asked for the details. He gets up and starts walking towards the virgin ginseng. Quickly, he starts tearing some leaves in front of him and tearing the ground. And then, we are finally shown the real appearance of the virgin ginseng, which looks like a newborn. Weird thing, it looks like a little baby. I think they gave it that name because it looks like a child. So, he stands there looking at the virgin ginseng, checking to see if there's anyone around. That shitty servant, it seems like I'm faster than you now. Nothing will happen the way you want it from now on. He stands there, caressing the virgin ginseng with a macabre smile. Thank you for the meal. No, wait. It wouldn't be polite of me to just eat it like that. He stares at the sleeping virgin ginseng, thoughtful. But then he thinks better of it and suddenly takes a bite of the virgin ginseng, saying, the freshness can be felt in the leaves, the bitter taste of ginger that I can perceive on the end of my tongue, along with the slight sweetness and the cold sensation. Finally, my spiritual energy is emerging. He continues to eat, now desperate, devouring all the ginseng. How much energy is there here? It doesn't matter. I'm gonna suck it all out. And he continues eating until there's nothing left of the poor virgin ginseng. Waki-sosen, just wait for me. He sits down to start cultivating the power he just received and says, the old useless guy from the Guyan City Hall has finally returned. The scene changes, and we see the village again, with people weeding while someone comments. But that name is different from our client's name. He definitely said his name was Jean Wigong. Jean what? Isn't that Yu Hyung? Damn young master. Where did he go? The scene changes again to Huang, who has just woken up after being drunk by our protagonist in the previous chapters. While he was sleeping peacefully, the door opens abruptly and the patriarch enters desperately, shouting, You bastard! How dare you sleep like that? After slapping Huang in the face, I'm gonna bury you and let you sleep forever. What happened, patriarch? Huang asks, still confused. Let me go, come on. Look how much he drank. The patriarch shouts, pointing to the empty bottle. Huang looks at the dry bottles and begins to remember what happened. He remembers the moment when the protagonist forced him to drink. Here, take this. Come on, just one more time, let's go. Huang's memory returns to the scene where our boy incites him to drink more. Let's drink until we pass out. Oh my god, damn it. I asked you to watch my son, but you dare go out and drink until we pass out? Patriarch, calm down. Calm down. The others try to calm him down, already worried about the situation. Please, Mr. Shuguan, calm down, let's go. I'm definitely going to feed you to the dogs today. The patriarch shouts, completely desperate. My god, he fainted. Did he die? The old man panics, not knowing what to do. But at the same time, Hyung's father wakes up, yelling at him. You fucking charlatan. You charlatan. Oh no. The doctor becomes even more desperate. Get out of here, come on right now. The scene changes again, returning to Huang, who is looking for our protagonist in the small village. The horse's eyes are quite interesting. A horse with unique eyes. He eats a special food too. I spent the whole winter buying his food from a neighboring village, and he's even eating good food for his fodder. Hey Huang, where are you going? The boy continues to feed the horse, but when Huang sees the boy feeding the animal, he shouts, Oh, young master, and starts running towards the boy, who is left without understanding anything. Young master, what are you doing in a place like this? God, this is driving me crazy. Oh, young master, where are you? The man becomes desperate, crying, running from one side to the other. Oh, child, the young master? No. Where did you see that horse from? If you're talking about the horse's owner, he went to Mount Pagoda. Mount Pagoda? Yes, that's where the 9 Dragons Fort is. Aren't the 9 Dragons mountain bandits? And then he starts to imagine that our boy got beaten up and is there, crying on the mountain, while the bandits are smiling in his face. Oh my god! Young master! Oh, young master, young master! And the man runs away, desperate. Then he comes running again, and in a moment of confusion. What the hell was that, huh? But he trips, hits his head on the ceiling, and falls to the ground, already bleeding. Oh, Mount Pagoda? Where is it again, huh, child? Meanwhile, on Mount Pagoda, that woman, along with everyone else, continued to run desperately for their lives. Suddenly, someone appears behind a tree, and they wonder who that person could be. In fact, it was the old man who helped our protagonist get to that place. He then tells everyone not to be afraid, because he will help them get to the village faster. The woman thanks him, and everyone continues running. Then, he asks her if she saw any young man covered in some bandages. She answers, "That person." The moment she says this, several lightning bolts appear in the sky. The next day, the men are still at the waterfall, hunting our boy, while one of them says, "Damn, I can't find him anywhere. Deputy Chief, has the body been found yet?" "Oh, the chief will definitely punish us if we can't find him. Let's look again." A few will split into 2 groups. 5 will follow this path down, and the remaining 5 will search every corner of the waterfall's vicinity. "Yes, Deputy Chief. Leave it to us?" "Deputy Chief, look." When the man says that, who shows up? "Oh damn, I almost drowned because of those bastards. Where did that young man come from, huh? Are you guys here to find me?" And our protagonist keeps saying that you need to like this video, thus ending another video of this story.
Now, near a waterfall, the guards were furious because they couldn't find the loose-skinned man. When suddenly one of the bandits points to the waterfall, there was a man coming out of it saying he almost drowned. People didn't understand how this guy came out of the middle of the waterfall. The man, on the other hand, says they saved him time, since he was going to look for the bandits anyway, but the bandits had no idea who this man in front of them was now. Elegantly removing the hair from his eyes, he asks if the bandits weren't looking for him, but the men can't recognize the stranger because Hyun's appearance has completely changed. Hyun, at this moment, orders them to take off their clothes and hand them over as he is cold. The bandits refuse, and he immediately kicks one of them in the head with great force, a force that knocks out his opponent with a single kick without even using mana. Everyone was impressed and trembling with fear. Hyun was complaining that now his new clothes were filthy and he will need more clothes. He says this while looking at the guys, shivering, knowing they will soon be unclothed. Finally, we have a decent and handsome protagonist. Next, they were all in their underwear and shaking from the cold. Hyun was feeling the weight of his new weapon. Suddenly, with a cold look on his face, he decided to test it. The men didn't even have time to realize what was about to happen. Then a head was removed from one of their bodies with great ease. Laughing at the situation, Hyun asks if they will just stand there waiting for their life to end. The men start begging for mercy, but Hyun refuses their pleas. After all, he had promised to cut off everyone's heads. They all ran in terror, but it was too late. They were all headless for this situation. Finally, the hunt had begun. Everyone under the mountain was subdued that day. No one could escape from Hyun. He noticed that his new clothes were dirty again, so he decided to go to the riverbank to clean himself up. Instead, he was amazed to look at the reflection in the river. The loose-skinned man was now the male version of Barbie. At that moment, he realized that it was the work of the virgin ginseng. That answered why the bandits didn't recognize him. He was happy and a little bit embarrassed to have such a beautiful face. With this face, he doesn't even seem adopted. Now he is as beautiful as his sister, but he is soon startled by screams. The noise came from the top of the mountain. At that spot, the old guide was being tortured by the bandits. The survivors were captured again during the process. The guide didn't intend to give information about the loose-skinned man and was about to be whipped again. However, the man's attention was drawn to one of the other bandits. They were wondering why there was a man standing in the snow staring at them. At that moment, Hyun made a strange gesture while crouching in the snow. The bandits started to wonder if the man was scooping snow with his hand. Maybe he wanted to play, but his throwing strength is like a bomb. He quickly knocks out several bandits only using snowballs. Anyone who dares to oppose him shall be dealt with lightning. Speed. The bandits could barely see him climbing up there. Then he came down with everything, exploding. Those who didn't fall in this attack were soon decimated by the moon. Destroyer blow. Only one survived in all this chaos. Hyun was asking if the man was afraid of him, but people couldn't even recognize him now. The old guy began to cough and groan due to the pain. Remembering the man's kindness and guiding him through the mountain, he became furious, asking if they did this. The young man started lying silent, saying it wasn't him, but with just a spear movement. The man had already been split in two. The survivors were begging for mercy from Hyun, even though he wasn't there to hurt them. Instead, he wanted to help the man who had shown him great kindness. The guide soon realized who was in front of him. Hyun tells the man to go back to the village. Realizing the man couldn't even speak, he began to infuse spiritual energy into his body and slowly burn to cauterize the wounds. It might not be the best treatment, but it's the only thing he could do at this moment. Hyun asks if anyone can carry the guide, then orders them to go. They go back to the village without looking back. At this moment, Hyun swears by the heavens that he will bring great revenge upon the mountain bandits. The guards at the gate of the bandit village were wondering why there was lightning on a sunny day in the middle of winter. Suddenly, one of them was decapitated at a speed at which it didn't even give him a chance to realize he was struck. The other was killed in the same blow. Hyun fills his lungs with air and shouts loudly for the bald man to come out of wherever he is and come to battle. He will have no mercy on any of these barbarians. His intention is to cut and destroy anything that stands in his way. He slices the bandits as if cutting a loaf of bread to spread butter. To Today, Hyun will eliminate this entire clan from this earth. He quickly cuts down several bandits at once with great ease. Anyone who sees this scene could do nothing but tremble in fear, because soon their turn would also come. Suddenly, Hyun was almost hit by an arrow. The bald man's gang had arrived, but this is exactly what he was waiting for. At this moment, he has to be moved. He is more skillful than before. It's the right time. The familiar voice of the wild butler is heard. He brought men here to destroy the Dragon Clan's camp. The guards attacked the bandits. The vassal's movements are not bad either. After all,
He is a fighter. The bald leader calls his subordinates to fight. They are not afraid to fight.
but the bald man decides to flee. How can he let this worm escape so easily? He doesn't even recognize Hyun's new look after the magical transformation from the ginseng. But when he sees the middle finger raised, the bald man remembers everything and becomes even more confused. Now, he is completely terrified. How is it possible that in one night he became so powerful? He now sees Hyun's immense strength. He is truly a martial arts master. The only option is to kneel and beg for mercy. If Hyun wants any woman, food or even gold, the bald man says he can provide. But when others ask for mercy, is it given to them? Hyun is punishing him today on behalf of the heavens, so he did what he came here to do. He is the one who has to do everything. At this moment, the vassal appears, asking if he is okay, but he does not recognize the person in front of him as his young master. So he asked about Hyun, his young master, saying that his family is really a bunch of idiots, and that the young master is as insolent as his father. He also talks about the young master's ugly appearance and his personality. He even says that not long ago, he ate like a whale. Hyun at this moment was thinking of ending his vassal's life. After finding out that he is the young master, he completely changes his tone of voice, saying that during the time they haven't seen each other, the young master has become very handsome. Then he says they need to go back, or the patriarch will end up killing him. But Hyun hasn't finished dealing with the chaos master, so the vassal retrieves a divine whip he used when he was an inspector. Of course, Hyun doesn't intend to cooperate, so he tries to flee. He fails and is tied up by the butler. He is dragged back on the way, trying to strike the vassal who defends himself. This power of the young master surprises everyone. In just a few months, the young master has become so strong that he is having advantages against a former inspector. Hitting his defense, he makes the man be dragged back a few meters, but he is soon surprised by an attack from behind. The vassals cannot disobey the patriarch's order. The battle was about to reach its climax. Everyone was taking it very seriously. At this moment, the old guide arrives. He thanks Hyun for saving their lives and informs that the prisoners escaped safely. They are very grateful to him for saving so many innocent people. While Hyun was distracted, he said goodbye to the old guide. The vassal ties him up without him, noticing and takes him away while he screams. Then he is knocked out by the vassal to be carried more easily. The vassal also asks not to spread about the young master's deeds around. They should take advantage of the fact that he used a false name. A nail that stands out gets hammered, and that will attract evil people to Hyun. Sometime later, we are shown the inside of the cave. The ginseng virgin is no longer there. The chaos servant was at the location looking for the item. He was so furious that the ginseng was stolen that he almost unintentionally killed all his vassals. So he ordered them to bring the thief to him as soon as possible and to kill all his relatives. He lost the item and now he was mad. When Hyun finally woke up, he realized that he missed the chance to find the chaos servant in the ginseng cave. Then he thought to himself that when the second creature called the Millennium Snail appears, another opportunity will arise. They arrive at the city of Hefei. This was a gigantic and blossoming city. Trade was very different from his hometown. There were tons of people and attractions for tourists. When Hyun got off the carriage, he realized that he was now in front of the Emperor's gate. When he tried to pass, he was stopped by the guards, but then someone ordered them to lower their weapons. This was ordered by his father, who was waiting for them there. Noticing his father's concern, he decided to reciprocate the affection the old man gives him so much, but he is ignored as his own father could not recognize him. His father begins to beat the vassal, saying that he dared to lie in the letter. He says that Hyun was supposed to be with the vassal, but he couldn't see him anywhere. The vassal, still being beaten, says that the person next to him is his dearly beloved son. He takes a short look at him, but goes back to beating the vassal, screaming in what world that handsome man could be his. Sun Hyun addresses the old man as father. Man recognizes his voice and softly asks if he is really his loving son. He couldn't believe his own eyes. The news quickly reached Namgung Castle. The squadron captain reports that the public was informed of everything, that the old vassal solved the problem. That was far from the truth, as it was Hyun himself alone who exterminated the entire bandit clan. This leaves old Namgung impressed and even interested. Still skeptical, he asks if the captain's eyes were deceiving him. The captain also says to bring Hyun back. Everyone had to work together to contain the boy's strength. Soon, the patriarch of the family intervenes, saying that Hyun is the future heir of an important clan and was also born with martial arts techniques within him. Besides having lost weight and becoming a handsome young man in the process, to summarize what his son is doing now is to ignore the facts and believe in the rumors of the world. That's that's why he's skeptical. So the patriarch says that he will personally take care of marriage matters from now on. Then the patriarchs are having a meeting, and of course Hyun is in the middle since he is the target of negotiations. Hyun's father says that he must take the martial arts exams, but Patriarch Namgung intervenes, saying that this type of training, regardless of how talented he is, will only allow him to become a general. Hyun's father asks what his proposal is. The old man says that if he trains martial arts with a good master, he will surpass a general and even become a leader who saves the country and makes history with it. Hearing the phrase, "save the country," makes Hyun more excited. The amazed boy's father asks if a master like that truly exists out there. Namgung says that they won't even need to look for one, since he himself is willing to teach the boy. A retired patriarch of the Namgung clan, the king's sword named Namgung Changshin, Chu sat and listened with a satisfied look. Surely a martial arts genius that could single-handedly defeat mountain brigands would be an enviable apprentice for any master. Chu thought about his possible apprenticeship. Still, unlike the 9 schools, they make a good impression. The Namgung family, one of the most illustrious families. Chu thought about the fact that with the name Namgung Kalin, he will be able to achieve a lot in the world of Marima, and there will be an opportunity to distance himself from the Yu family. Chu only has to convince his father of this, but as it turned out, he was glad that Chang was ready to become a teacher for his son. He literally radiated happiness and gratitude. The two agreed without any trouble. They had even managed to share the kinship over Chu. Yes, so much so that Chang recognized Chu as his son. Chu's father said that he was worried about his son's health. He said that he was worried about his son's health. He was worried when he became aware of the worries on the emperor's soul. But now that Chang agreed to look after Chu, he was much happier and relieved. Chang reasoned that the emperor's anxiety must be related to what he thought about the future of the throne. In that case, the emperor wishes Wang to be near his heir, for the latter is a scholar and can teach the future emperor much. Still, the emperor has great confidence in him. It is time for Chu's father to go back. He is already sitting in the carriage, admonishing his son to obey his uncle and try to train. Chu's father kept on and on admonishing him. The whole situation was turning into a kind of farce, but now the carriage moved and Chu's torment seemed to be over. As he looked out, his father and Wang continued to wave to him as the carriage moved away. Chu was already anxious for them to leave. He was very embarrassed, but still, it was nice for Chu to feel such love and attention for himself. It was something he had been deprived of in his first life. Uncle Chu suddenly turned to him and told him to follow him, walking forward showing him the way. Chu couldn't understand if the training would start like this right away, only he had time to say goodbye to his father. They moved through the clan territory together. All the people they met bowed and smiled at Mr. Chang. They were obviously happy to see him. Chu was interested in seeing his former head in this way. After a while, they began to approach a staircase that led somewhere upward. The stairs were guarded by 2 guards who, on the edges, stood on the edges. But when they saw Mr. Chang, they did not even think to stop them. They climbed the wall which encloses the city from the outside world. The wall was quite high, and from it they had a fine view of the picturesque surroundings. Upon reaching the roof above one section of the wall, Chang simply walked on air, which was expected of a current sword king. A walk of great emptiness. Not even his past teacher possessed a walk of this level. Standing on the roof, Chang stared at Chu, urging him to climb up after him. Chu thought about it. He couldn't use some techniques right now as there would be a lot of unnecessary questions. So Chu just decided to jump onto the roof. Crouching down and storing energy in his legs, he prepared to jump. It was quite easy, and there would be no unnecessary questions. Chu was able to jump onto the roof without any problems, standing next to his uncle Chang. All that remained was to understand why they had come here. Chang, on the other hand, did not. He didn't skimp on complimenting his ability to handle his body. As they approached the edge of the roof that was facing the opposite direction to the city, they both froze and Chang started a dialogue. He asked how many places Chang had visited according to Chu. Chu tensed up. Was this really a vigilance test? He was too relaxed, but Chang continued. He said he had visited only 64 places, and they all belonged to the Namgung family. The words Namgung family caught Chu's attention, but he couldn't understand. At the same time, Chang continued asking him to look in the direction indicated. His finger pointed to a building in the distance. It was a gazebo on a hillside. Then Chang drew his finger from place to place, as if drawing a boundary invisible too, the eye delineating the territory that he wanted to show. Everything Chu saw appeared to be the property of the Namgung family. It turned out to be quite a lot. His family covered a large area of territory. The city that was below them was a very beautiful place, and everything beyond that looked like hope he had seen in the rays of the setting sun. Chu couldn't understand what Chang was getting at. He continued to marvel at the vastness of his family's domain, as if implying something. Chu had a false sense of anxiety. Chang asked Chu what he thought of what he saw in front of him. Chu didn't understand at all what this old man was getting at. Was this some kind of test or something else? Chu wondered. Does Chang really want him to run back and forth? Some sort of demonstration of his skills at moving, a demonstration of speed. indeed, Chu tried to guess. What a troublesome old man, thought Chu, already preparing for the dash to drop out just to prove the strength of his abilities. Crouching down for a low start, Chu began to infuse his legs with spiritual energy, but he was interrupted by Chang's voice, which spoke of the beauty and wealth of these places. From this, Chu stumbled, his foot slipped, throwing off his balance, and he fell shamefully, hitting his head. Chu decided to recognize the inadequacy of his mental abilities and turned to Chang for clarification. He had completely lost the meaning of this conversation. Chang smiled kindly and looked at Chu and told him that he was leading to the fact that some of this land could be his. Chu was very surprised at such words. This land could belong to him. He thought they had come here for training, not for a geography lesson on Kalan Namgung. Chang continued smiling, said that there is nothing to be surprised about, because once Chu marries Han, he will be a great man. If he marries Hai, he will give some of it all as a dowry. A very tempting offer, Chang thought. Chu was shocked to hear this. Did he really come here just for this conversation? Chang only confirmed that they were only here for that. Chu was speechless. After all, what did he expect from a man who was trying his best to seduce him and marry him off to his granddaughter? Chang thought that Chu's hesitation was due to the fact that Hai herself wouldn't want to marry him, going on to say that he could convince her and Chu should worry. Not wanting to listen to him anymore, Chu walked to the edge of the roof and jumped down. What nonsense. He thought, not intending to have a family anytime soon. Chu managed to land softly on the ground, using spiritual power to dampen the speed of the fall and not break something. And Chu rushed to run away from Chang in this conversation. He didn't need all of this. What he needed was to become stronger, and family life wouldn't give him that. But Chang wasn't going to let him go so easily and rushed after him. Chu was fast, but Chang was still faster. Convinced that he had offered too little, he began to persuade Chu on the run, promising him a great deal. Realizing there was no point in running, Chu stopped, determined to clear up any loose ends. Chu was not going to get married, despite all the riches promised to him. Chu began to make arguments for the misunderstanding. Chang, he is the son of the Yu family, who already owns a lot of territory, and they are favored by the emperor himself, and the merchants are willing to do almost anything for them. Thus, there was no point in Chu marrying for the sake of property. Finished with the conversation, Chu made it clear that Chang should forget about the wedding. He generally expected the latter to teach him martial arts, not to propose a wedding, but Chang did not give up. Who not he, who has achieved everything with his sword, can overcome any obstacles. He did not take into account that Chu was already born with a golden spoon in his mouth, so to offer him silver makes no sense. Chang did a set of blows from one technique, trying to impress Chu. His movements were smooth, but at the same time and sharp. Chu wasn't happy that he was doing something he didn't understand early in the morning. Do all old people really get up so early? Chu pondered. Finished with the demonstration, Chang asked Chu how he liked what he saw. It was the art of the royal sword, something that would have impressed anyone, but none, not Chu. Seeing Chu's unimpressed face, Chang decided to show him something else. He threw his sword. It was a sword technique of curbing energy. The sword obeyed its master's will and began to chop the trees that were in the department's training ground. Chu only cared that such trees are probably expensive. Breathing heavily, Chang tried to regain his breath and asked if Chu was impressed this time. These battle drills are only betrayed to direct descendants. Chang promised Chu if he married Hai, he could have all his knowledge. While he was talking, Chu was gone. He wasn't going to hear about the wedding again. Chang was already desperate. He was offering knowledge that only direct descendants possess. It was impossible to learn even for money, but Chu was deaf to his entreaties. Chang decided to offer Chu to learn something of the Namgung family's martial arts, but to Chu's eyes, there was nothing of the sword in them. Hearing this, Chang laughed loudly. Chang thought Chu is not a good person, but he is a good boy. He is a good person. Chang thought that although Chu was talented, he had only recently begun to learn martial arts, and that he was simply not seeing the whole picture of what was going on, not realizing the true power of his art. Chu offered to demonstrate that he would have no trouble demonstrating what he had seen today. If Chu showed he didn't want it, maybe then Chang would let him go. He picked up a stick from the floor before intending to use it as a sword. Chu had learned enough of the art of Namgung that he was beaten with it. Chu began to swing the twig as if trying to remember how Chang did it, only to be puzzled by it. But then Chu became more serious and began to repeat one by one what he showed Chang without making a single mistake. He was able to perform the art of the royal sword, causing Chang's amazement. But then Chang abruptly stopped Chu. He was angry because Chu could not learn this style. Then how does he know it? It bothered him a lot. But Chu, with an innocent face, assured that it was Chang himself who taught him. It was as if he was struck by lightning. He was actually showing Chu this technique. Chang was amazed. Chu had only had to take one look to learn the art of the royal sword. He had clearly underestimated Chu, that heaven-sent genius. Chang hovered, immersed in his thoughts, thinking that Chu was a genius like no other. Chu tried to call out the truth. He was a genius. He was a genius. He was a genius. But he continued to stand there without even blinking. Chu was fed up with just standing there and decided to leave. Throwing the stick away, he went on with his business. Now he won't have to marry anyone. Chang's got the idea to marry him off off to high after all. This guy is clearly worth the effort. Chang should get him by any means necessary. At the same time, 3 men in wide straw hats arrived in the city. They were the servants of chaos who had lost the ginseng and were now looking for the thief. Going closer to the center of the city, they decided to split up and continue their search one by one to expand their reach. They followed Chu's path by bribing the tavern owner where he was staying. They were able to find out that the thief's name was Jin, but didn't realize that it was a fake name that Chu had used. The boy stood in front of the manor looking for his uncle Chu. He still hadn't shown up at the training ground for some reason. Chu walked out of the building and turned his attention to his nephew. He was calling out to him for a training session he was supposed to do. But Chu wasn't interested, so he decided to send the guy to study on his own. But the kid was persistent. Before, Chu would have been frightened by that look, but now his teacher was in a way even nicer. The guy was starting to boil over. He didn't like Chu at all, even though he had heard from his uncle that he was incredibly talented. So what if Chu was able to replicate a technique he had only seen once? Looking at the yawning Chu, he kept thinking that a true master was not only outstanding physical data, but also diligent training of inner power. He was also a great teacher, and he was a great student. The guy couldn't feel Chu's windy energy, and Chu himself had enough of standing there and went back to the house. He wanted to continue his rest. The guy was totally pissed off. He had spoken nicely so far, so his esteemed uncle should go after him. Chu's past teacher dug his own grave with his own hands. Chu will be able to get even on him. And then Chu had a great idea. Maybe they could switch places and he could educate a student. An evil smile crept onto Chu's lips. Chu decided to explain that he couldn't teach him anything new, so he was the one who was going to teach him. The guy is completely pissed off now. He calls Chu uncle and has manners. But where does Chu get so much arrogance from? Chu was amused by the situation. The guy decided to beat Chu and drag him to practice by force, in which he could only wish him luck, which Chu did by calling him nephew. The guy was totally pissed off by the way Chu addressed him. Although Chu didn't show it, he just called his nephew a prisoner. So what's the big deal? The guy went off the road and ran away with Chu. The guy was totally pissed off by the way Chu addressed him. So what's the big deal? He began to shout at Chu, accusing him of unprecedented impudent shamelessness, which is so huge that can pierce the heavens. Chu was in a daze. After he actively provoked him, all he heard was the words about impudence. For something like that, a stronger word could have been called. Looking at the bent face of the guy, Chu thought that he just swallowed his provocation, although he could barely hold back. Perhaps he should have continued and finally pissed him off. Chu decided to push on. His nephew already switched to non-formal communication. Chu noticed this and spit under his feet, causing another tirade about insolence. The guy was shaking with anger but did not know what to do. No one had ever insulted him and he had never sworn. So what to do in such a situation? He had no idea. Chu remembered how Song swore every day when he was teaching him, coming up with more and more insults towards Chu. So Chu thought he was used to scolding since he was still in diapers. No one could defeat Song on swords, so he still got the nickname of the Sword King of the 7 senses. There are 7 senses, 7 emotions in every human being. Sun was the man who brought them together and formed a martial art. Perhaps that was the reason why he used to beat Chu in the mornings when he was in a bad mood. And after a good lunch, Chu would receive a beating from a laughing Song because of his good mood. When it rained and Song was sad, he was Chu because he was sad. It was very difficult for Chu because trying to adjust to the character of a person whose mood changes 12 times a day. And what now? Now Chu saw in front of him a cultured gentleman that with all his might restrains his emotions. And after all, he rose to the top by elevating his emotions to the absolute. Chu didn't want one of Marima's characters to disappear, but he couldn't just fix the situation. Now he would have to change Sun's character. Chu had a hard job ahead of him, but he was not saddened by it. On the contrary, a frightening smile and a creepy expression on his face was his answer to the difficulties. Sleep did not understand what Chu was burning about, but Chu decided not to explain everything unnecessarily. Now he would beat him, and he would have to understand everything himself. Chu jerked closer to the guy. Song recognized this movement, the footsteps of the heavenly wind. How dare a pathetic wannabe be so insolent? Song decided to show what was authentic and what was fake. Song threw a whole bunch of punches at Chu, attacking without respite, but Chu had no problem dodging all of his blows. It was time for Chu to strike. Pirouetting in the air, Chu attacked him with his foot so that Song was thrown off, but Song managed to block Chu's lance, avoiding serious damage. At the same time, Chu continued to taunt him, criticizing his defense. Chu continued his assault on Song. He reduced his distance in one dash and prepared to attack again. With his sputum, food, and sword chain, he could make foods and relish. Song concentrated, infusing his puka with spiritual energy, and prepared to counterattack and force Chu to retreat. As Song suddenly sensed something wrong, Chu decided to strike with spiritual energy as well, gathering it in his fist. He rushed towards Song and was already ready to strike. The distance between them was rapidly decreasing. Chu had a wide smile on his face. Song recognized that punch. It was the way he had once attacked Chu. The block and the punch collided. The clash of spiritual spiritual power had begun. Song held on with all his might, but Chu's pressure was too strong. He wouldn't be able to hold back this punch. After a moment, Chu's fist pushed back Song's defense and went straight for his face. Song was amazed at the way Chu played the fight, took advantage of his mistake, and immediately launched a devastating attack. Chu's fist reached Song's face. The essence of the technique was that there was a burst of energy as it reached the target, increasing the strength of the strike, just like Namgong's fist technique. Thunderous explosion. A powerful explosion of energy swept through Song's theme like the blast wave from a real explosion. A rumbling sound like thunder rumbled in all directions. Song's body steamed off in a rapid flight, stopping only when he reached one of the walls that he actually crashed into. Shards of the structure flew in all directions. Sleep lay behind the broken wall, surrounded by shards and parts of the wall. He was exhausted, but still conscious. All Song had the strength to do was mutter insults at Chu. After gathering his strength, he still managed to get up on his elbow. Song had heard that Chu was talented, but did he really only need one look to memorize how to control the chi in the body? Was this really a heaven-sent talent? When Song had already lifted himself off the ground, Chu came over to him saying that this wasn't the end, and he had more to teach him. Chu started beating Song with tears in his eyes. Song couldn't even imagine how long Chu had waited for this moment. Thinking back to the time when the now-adult Song had beaten Chu himself, he felt like he was restoring justice. Chu was glowing from the significance of this moment as he continued beating Song, who was lying on the ground. Song, unable to bear the pain of the beating, began to call Chu, son of a bitch. Bastard, it seemed to him that he was about to die. As Chu suddenly stopped for a second, he was happy, for his student had finally realized how to vent anger. What Song was feeling right now was anger. Chu was now in his teacher's place, and his teacher was in his place. Tears of joy flowed from Chu's eyes. After his words, Chu continued to be a screaming Song, that he was no longer holding back in his expressions, and was screaming profanity, not realizing what was wrong with this crazy bastard. Finished with the training, Chu decided to end his life, end the lesson with a strong uppercut that docked poor Song in the air. Song passed out. Weak, Chu thought. Maybe I should have fed him the remaining precious spiritual plants. But to find the second spiritual treasure, Chu had to find one guy. The one who knew the whereabouts of the second spiritual treasure was Doksum, who should soon be in the Chanmu Union prison, and his meeting with the Servant of Chaos would happen in 6 months. It would be then that the Servant of Chaos would have to search for the spiritual treasure, and then he would be able to find the second spiritual treasure. Then, when he comes to Doksum, Chu will appear at the right moment and blow his head off his shoulders, preventing the arrival of chaos in its very beginnings. In that case, Chu's suffering will be over, and he will be able to live a normal life, but there is no guarantee that some unforeseen variable will not appear. Finished thinking, Chu lifted the unconscious Song up. He still had work to do. Chu slung him on his shoulder, continuing his thoughts to be ready for all sorts of surprises he would have to bring up his damn teachers, just in case. So now Song and Chu are together alone. From that moment on, their training began. Chu systematically beat Song over and over again for 10 days. For 10 days, Song endured the beatings without being able to somehow put up a decent resistance to Chu. But finally, Song began to show progress, getting more invested in his punches when he was enraged. Song was finally putting enough spiritual energy into his strikes. In just a few days, he had learned how to put anger into his sword. Still, only by pushing a person to the limit could one achieve rapid development. Song was finally able to put anger into his sword. At this point, Chu decided to end his anger infusion training, dodging Song's next, but already more successful attack, Chu thought. It was time to move on to the anger retrieval training. With that, Chu delivered a kick to Song's chin. Song flew into the air from the blow. The impact was strong enough, but not strong enough to knock Song out or cause serious damage. But to consolidate the effect of the training, Chu decided to make a couple more blows with his fists as punishment for the mistake. He was then able to do a couple more blows with his fists, but then Song's eyes flashed fire, and Chu felt that he clearly made a breakthrough in understanding what he taught Chu. Song twisted around and tried to throw a powerful punch at Chu, but Chu had no problem dodging it, but he was still surprised. Song was frustrated. He was full of hope that at least this time, he would be able to punish his tormentor. However, Chu did not let him get upset for long. He was already standing behind his back with his fist raised to strike. Here, he was afraid. Song already imagined the pain from the blow, but suddenly Chu did not beat him, suggesting instead to go for a walk outside the gate. Song wondered where Chu was going, but hesitated as he realized he had interrupted his favorite uncle. Chu thought to teach him a lesson for his insolence, but Song quickly oriented himself, courteously giving way in front so that he could escort Chu wherever he wished. On the street, a beggar in shabby clothes was sitting among the market stalls. He was sitting in the middle of the street, and he was collecting alms from people who cared about him. On his head was a straw hat that covered his face. Suddenly, someone approached him and threw a silver coin into the alms bowl, thus drawing the beggar's attention to himself. The beggar thanked the benefactor, and the man man asked only to speak to him a little as a thank you. The man said that it was his first time in the city, and he had no friends here yet. At the same time, with the help of a special technique that hides words, he reported to his commander, and he said, who was hiding under the guise of a beggar, that there was no one with the name Jin in Namgung Manor. Pretending to continue the friendly dialogue, the commander under the guise of a beggar interjected, strangely, the man named Jin is not there, and was not there. The subordinate continued his report, although there was no person named Jin in the manor. There was one person who appeared there, just right for the time of appearance. He continued speaking, saying that it was Yu Chu, Yu Wan's only son, who is currently staying in Namgung Manor. He continued to speak, still in the manor. Spoiled was interested in further instructions. How should they proceed? Should they call for reinforcements? Chu and Song walked out of the Namgung Manor and headed deeper into the city, heading in a direction only known to Chu alone. In a strange coincidence, they just passed by two Chaos servants talking, which was just what Chu was discussing. In the end, the Chaos Intelligence Commander decided to deal with everything with the forces he had now. He did not want to anger his master. He wanted to take up their chapter's time, and so Chu was put under surveillance in order to clarify information about the thief. After finishing their conversation, the two men also decided to end their concert, which they had arranged to separate the attention. It was time to move out, and immediately, the subordinate left, and the commander himself also began to pack. He still had a lot of things to do, especially since he should have personally supervised everything. The beggar was watched by two men. They kept the neighborhood, but this ragamuffin did not pay them anything, even though he received a huge alms. They had no way of knowing that he was not a simple, homeless man. Chu had bought a large number of books containing sad and touching stories that Song was now carrying. As long as Song was born into a rich family, he couldn't taste the poverty and pain of his relatives, and for training, he needs to know this feeling. After finishing his explanation to Song, Chu decided it was time for them to go see a Beijing opera, something freakishly funny. That Song realized what they would be doing next. His mood visibly rose. A dreamy smile appeared on his face. Joy gives calmness to the soul and prevents anger and sadness from overwhelming a person, Chu admonished. Song now wondered whether it was possible to see using such simple methods. Chu went on to explain that only one who possesses calmness can expand his horizons. Thus, it is possible to improve the understanding of the enemy and his movements. A beggar sneaked into the theater that he had been following Chu. Now that he could get a better look at him, he realized that Chu was most likely the one who had stolen the ginseng. A group of people concealed by cloaks and wide hats were making their way through a field where crops were sprouting. This group should attack Chu and Song. Their task was to secretly infiltrate the city, eliminate the target and the person of the Namgung heir, and Chu was to be their commander. The main thing they had to do was to do it secretly, but the commander was caught by the local bandits who were covering for the local beggars. At the noise drew the attention of Chu and Song. Looking around, they could see a group of people, gangster appearance. This group was heading towards the beggar, planning to show him what happens to those who don't pay for the space they occupy. The commander had to cancel the operation. The group of warriors stopped, hiding in a field of tall vegetation. The commander was very unhappy. What a bad time to be picked on by the local bandits. The problem was that he couldn't reveal himself. The bandits, however, kept accusing him and were about to muzzle him. They surrounded the commander, taking him in a ring. He couldn't reveal himself, so he was going to have to give himself a beating if he didn't want to fail the mission. The bandits were very angry. The bandits rushed towards the beggar with their fists, intending to explain the rules of the world in this simple way. A beggar was knocked to the ground and beaten up. Song noticed this and suggested to Chu to break up the fighting, because it is mean to attack a crowd on one. But Chu was not going to interfere, because justice does not always prevail in the world, as in the books. This city is controlled by Namgung, but such small gangs are almost never dealt with, so they will still share this alley. These were very low-level gangs, but they were very powerful, not related to the world of Murim in any way, so there was definitely no point in them getting involved. Simply put, it's just another squabble between bandits over territory. Chu finished observing what was happening, and as soon as Chu and Sleep left, the bandits were covered in an ominous aura. They laid a beat. The beggar stopped, as suddenly one of their bandits flew out of the crowd from a hard hit. Now hiding, the commander of the Chaos Forces was gone, and it dawned on the bandits that they were in trouble. From the beaten beggar, the commander began to actively emanate evil power. The bandits began to pivot back, but they were already surrounded by people in dark cloaks. Ordering no one to interfere, the commander was going to deal with these lowlifes, beatings which he had to endure, and the leader of the bandits, in fright, ordered to attack the unknown beggar. The commander leans threateningly in front of the bandit leader. The man immediately looks at the man in bewilderment, unsure if he has just been seriously injured, as the energy in him still resounds strongly. The commander uttered in a frightening voice that this was a 1 in a million chance, and that there shouldn't be a single, even minor slip-up in their grand plan. The bandit leader immediately bowed to the man on his knees and begged to be spared. The commander says menacingly that the only way to be held accountable for his actions is death. His eyes immediately gleam, his face darkened. The commander immediately places his hand on the gang leader's head, and immediately afterward, a horrible sound is heard. The people around watch in horror and fear at what is happening. The commander told his subordinates to deal with the gang in front of them, and that they should leave no trace behind them. They immediately responded with a brief assent to the order given to them. Immediately, sprays of blood flew to the sides. At the same time, a man ran through a field of blood. A strong wind was blowing across the field, causing the spikelets to dance in the wind. The man immediately turned to the leader, Wang Tao, with the words that these people were not vagabonds at all. He immediately shouted with all his might that he needed to report this information to the cabin branch. The man immediately rushed forward, cleaving the air and breaking the plants around him. As soon as father finished reading the letter, he cried out in anger that why would they not come to them? He clutched the letter he had received with force. The father is immediately answered about what the girl said about not being able to marry against her will. To this, the man only shouted in a frenzy to his companion to send the Celestial, and also to send them to the Chonmu Union, and order them to bring them now. To this, the man only sighed tiredly, and replied to father that Hai had already gone to the site of the faction battle. Here the man continues, saying that the girl made sure that the letter arrived after she had arrived. His father was simply furious at these words. He immediately began to shiver. The father immediately threw the table aside with all his might, and yelled at the man about how he could ever raise his children like that. But then the man remembers that father himself told him that he would raise the girl to be a warrior woman who would represent the Namgung family. Father replies with a calm tone in his voice that there's nothing to be done, and that since Hai won't come, it means they need to send Hyun to the Chonmu Alliance. And so a man with a satisfied expression on his face galloped down the road to the palace with his hands folded behind his back. He was in an elevated mood. He was whistling some obscure tune, but immediately he hears someone's loud shout with a bellowing. Immediately, father thought it was an intrusion. He deftly jumps over the high fence. The man's gaze drifts off into the distance, noticing familiar and slightly blurred silhouettes. He is immediately surprised to find himself still raised in the air. Once he was down on the ground, he continued to watch the two guys that appeared to be fighting. Just then, the familiar screams of the guys came out. Chu immediately shouted to Sun about putting more than just anger into his sword strike, and that he should try sadness this time. Immediately, Chu shouted for Sun to remember the recent affair, and how he felt the moment the protagonist died. For himself, was surprised from the fact that his nephew, Sung, was being beaten up. Immediately after Chu's request, Sung remembered and cried bitterly. The boy immediately started sniffling loudly, and tears flowed from his eyes. He immediately swung his sword. To the surprise of everyone present, the sword that was in Sun's hands immediately shimmered and began to glow with a bright yellow light. Sun was immediately surprised because the energy emanating from the sword was like the energy filled with curbed anger. The old father was watching all this, and Chu noticed it immediately. He immediately wondered in his mind, asking himself rhetorically what the old man was doing here. Chu immediately yelled for Sung to stop. The guy immediately dodged the punch and raised his left arm. To all of this, Sung only looked at the guy standing in front of him with some resentment and anger in his eyes. He lightly bit his lower lip. Sung immediately swore loudly and exclaimed that everything was fine just now, and that he could also hit his opponent on the head. The guy immediately started waving his sword in all directions with a displeased expression on his face. The father immediately wondered if his grandson, Sung, was swearing. The man immediately covered his mouth with his hand because he was a little surprised by this. But father immediately switches from those thoughts because Chu asked him a question about what the man was doing here. To this, father only laughed awkwardly. The man then replies that he found Chu and Sung's training so fascinating that he just kept watching from afar and not disturbing them. To this, Chu only replied that father could have just walked into the courtyard and watched normally. To this, the man only awkwardly replied that that was it and walked into the courtyard. The man immediately remembered that it was also his house and that it was strange to tell him that he didn't want to go in. The father immediately turned to his nephew Chu with a question because it was revealed to him that he had just trained his grandson's son in the sword. To this, Chu calmly replied that this was impossible because according to him, they were just sparring. At this weighty statement, Sung himself was already surprised because Uncle Chu had indeed trained him, and the guy didn't understand at all why he was saying such thing. At these words of his nephew's, father replied to Chu that just now, Sung's style was different from the familiar basics of the Namgung family, and if the guy wasn't taught this new technique by anyone, then how did he learn about it and was able to apply it? But then Chu, still in a calm voice, says that this method was suggested by Sung himself, to which Sung himself with these words falls in love. At this point, Uncle Chu was very surprised because he had no idea what his Uncle Chu was saying. Father himself was no less surprised, but he was still able to control his emotion. At such a strong reaction of the guy, Chu told Sung to just keep quiet because he was starting to piss him off with his antics. Immediately, Chu holds out a wooden sword in front of him and explains that it was the seven senses technique. To this, father only asked in a amazement what the 7 sense technique was. Chu continued, saying that one day, Sung told him that he had a big breakthrough, and the guy had some sort of way of putting his feelings into his sword. At this point, Sung no longer understood at all what he was talking about. Father thought for a moment because putting feelings into a sword is a huge breakthrough. The man immediately chuckled happily, and realization came to him. Namely, the realization that the sword of the Namgung family who rejected joy and any other change began to change as soon as it met the new century. But immediately, Chu pulls the man out of his thoughts again and asks him a question, namely, what brought him here? But just as the man started to already answer the question, the guy asked, he was immediately interrupted. The servant immediately says, tiredly, that the past head is also here. He immediately apologizes for having just interrupted their important conversation. But there was an urgent matter, namely that a man from the cabin branch had just arrived. Immediately, Father asks what business the man from Kaban has come for. The servant immediately informs him that Kaban had an accident during the night. Father immediately tells his nephew Chu that they will talk a little later because he just had some urgent business to attend to. After the man's words, immediately Sung tells Chu that he also has to go. At all of this, when everyone has already left, Chu thought in his mind, how can they be so similar even when they are looking? Turning around, the thought crosses Chu's mind that he should take a walk down the street. Because he doesn't have much to do, Chu decided to do so. As he walked past the people, all the eyes of the surrounding people were fixed on him. He was clearly being followed. Just then, one of the men asked the commander how they should proceed. The commander immediately thought that there was no telling when they would get the chance again, so he orders his men to follow Chu. His men immediately responded by agreeing to the order given to them and started following. Immediately, the commander instructs his men to wait until Chu reaches a deserted place, and as soon as he is there, the guy should be surrounded and immediately dragged outside of Hefe. Immediately from all sides, began to shout people that their goods are sold cheaply and for nothing. Chu himself is thinking about how nice it is to stroll leisurely like this. The guy mentions that in Anping, it was difficult for the reason that everyone recognized him, and yet despite that, the guy misses them just a little bit. The guy wondered if everyone was doing well there, and then Chu remembers that before he returns to Anping County, so that everyone can continue to live peacefully as they do now, and before chaos ensues, he needs to do something. But immediately, Chu is thrown from his thoughts and notices something very strange. Chu notices a familiar face in the man who had just passed him. He was definitely sure that he had seen this man, but immediately the guy discards these thoughts because he could have just bumped into him on the way. And only Chu wanted to look into the bookstore as he immediately noticed something wrong around it. Immediately walking towards Chu was a strange vendor with free cookies. He immediately told the guy to taste his baked goods, to which Chu happily agrees, but then immediately changes his face. But at this point, Chu is already well aware of what is going on around him, because it was easy to notice a bunch of people who were watching him, while he supposedly does not see anything. Chu, immediately walking a little further, notices a vagrant who is beaten to a pulp by Vera. The guy wondered if the man really thought he wouldn't be able to recognize him if he was wearing neat clothes. Immediately, the lad thinks of those words of the servant who spoke of Caben's misfortune during the night. Chu immediately realizes that this so-called misfortune is the work of these guys. Unexpectedly for the man standing next to him, Chu starts to run towards him at high speed with a happy expression on his face. He immediately exclaims to him that what an unexpected encounter. At this point, all the people around that were following the commander's orders were a little surprised and shocked by the fact that the guy started acting suspiciously. Chu immediately rushed somewhere to the side in an attempt to hide from the people who were following him. People immediately ran after the guy in a crowd trying to keep him in their sights. Someone alone immediately yelled for everyone to run that way. But what was their surprise when the place they ran to was just an ordinary dead end in a nook. One of the people said that Chu had definitely run around that corner. Everyone immediately started looking around for the guy, but suddenly they heard someone's voice behind them, asking them who they were. Everyone immediately started turning around at the voice. Chu continued with a smile on his face, saying that he was very curious to know the reason why he was being chased by a huge crowd of men. Everyone immediately started looking at Chu, who was sitting on the roof of a nearby building. The guy immediately decided to make a joke about, what, is he really their type? He immediately smiled slyly, but the others didn't appreciate his joke and only became much more serious about their enemy. Chu immediately descended from the roof of the building and continued, saying that if he was not their type, then why were they all following him like rats? Chu asked them if he was the target last night, but they didn't answer his question. Immediately, Chu says with a grin on his face that he was right, judging by the faces of those weirdos, but then he asked them why they needed him. Chu also remarks that the remnants of the 9 Dragon Gang, or those who were looking for ginseng, are standing in front of him, and he wonders if they're a long way off. Immediately, the gang starts talking to each other, asking the others what they should do. The main one tells them that killing him would be much easier, but he is the son of the previous heir, so they may have to deal with the government itself. But first, they need to make sure of something, namely, whether the guy in front of them is the Ginwegan that took the virgin ginseng. But Chu immediately immediately makes an incomprehensible face and asks who else this Ginwagon is, and says that they obviously got the wrong house number, the man, Nahum Risha, and wondered if the guy really had nothing to do with it. But on the other hand, to get the virgin ginseng, then you need to reach at least the level of Kai release and above. But the man felt absolutely nothing from this guy. In reality, Chu's body was trained by the strongest master of Kabang, and did this gang of men think that the guy would let him be so easy to figure out? Besides, this gang wouldn't be able to sense the spiritual energy, Chu. But if these guys had come all the way here in pursuit of ginseng, then they must have something to do with the Chaos Servant. Chu immediately thought that then there was no point in bothering at all, and it would be easier to catch them and shake them all out. Immediately, the chief among this gang apologized to Chu, and that apparently they had some sort of misunderstanding. Chu laughingly sighs and says that they can't just take off, namely for that reason, because Chu has become very curious about who these men are. But at this guy's words, the man only ordered his men to fell Chu. Immediately after this order, two men rushed towards Chu. Chu thought that in order to fell Chu, so to speak, he didn't launch any assassins. The guy smiled slyly, but with just one of his leg kicks, Chu was able to throw the two men immediately to the sides. They immediately fell to the floor with a loud sound. Chu smilingly asked them if he looked so weak in their eyes. Just then, the head man in the gang thinks about how it's even possible that a guy without a single grain of inner strength was able to do something. At this, Chu, as if reading his opponent's mind, asks him if he's really that surprised. At the same time, Chu slightly kicked the man who was lying on the ground at the time and said that since these two got them, his business here is definitely over. The guy immediately turned his head to the man and asked him what he's going to do, if he's just going to take off. The man was furious. He called the guy a bastard. Chu was thinking that he would be really uncomfortable if all these men attacked him all at once, but then he thought that on the other hand, what's the big deal? And that he should just change the course of the situation. Just then, Chu turned to face them and gave them a sly smile. He turned to these uncles, asking them if they want to hang out with him. With a deft move, Chu was able to pick up one of the men lying on the floor and quickly ran in the opposite direction from them. The men who were standing nearby immediately rushed to run after the guy. The man in charge immediately ordered them to run after him, and so one of the chief's servants began to catch up with Chu, who still continued to run with the man on his shoulder. And so the man behind swings at Chu for a blow with his sharp sword. The guy calmly notices it, but immediately Chu Loco dodges the blow, making a kind of sprint and lunge forward, thus dodging. Chu immediately began to look around and noticed the building that stood next to a huge horn. The guy thought that it would be just right for him, because he had already thought of something. Chu strained his arms hard and immediately threw the man's body somewhere in the air. When the man landed, he fell onto the roof of the building with a huge noise, thus breaking through the tiles. A wave of air immediately came from there, indicating the tremendous strength of the thrower. Concerned people immediately started running out of the building. There was fear on their faces and a complete lack of understanding of what was happening. Everyone immediately started shouting that the building had begun to collapse and that everyone in the building should run away. Chu himself had already managed to jump into the air and swung with all his might at the very horn of the building. Huge pieces of the building immediately scattered around the neighborhood. Where the building had stood before, there was nothing left. Chu had left no stone unturned, and only the chief and his subordinate managed to run to the place where Chu ran away, then immediately saw this terrible picture. Immediately, Chu told them that this is not the end, and that these people were much faster than he thought. Chu continued by talking about whether the ringleader knew about one thing. The guy immediately fell silent, and there was silence all around him. Just then, a terrifying thought comes into the head of the leader. He immediately exclaimed, "If the guy in front of me is not an ordinary guy as I thought, but exactly the one they were looking for." Immediately, Chu grinningly told him that this man is in fact a naive fool, and that he followed the guy all the way to Hefe. Immediately, his tone changed to a more mocking one, and Chu asked the uncle if he still wanted to have fun with him, because the man's confidence was high, because soon they would face not only Chu, but also Namgung and Kabang. The main man's gaze immediately became menacing and sinister. He was simply furious. The man pelted Chu with meanness, but the guy only calculated those words as a compliment to himself. And as Chu had already said, having contacted Namgung and Kabang, it would be difficult to just take off and run away, so they had to hurry up and leave Hefe. Only then would they be able to fulfill their duty. The chief immediately ordered his subordinates to attack Chu, displaying his sword in front of him. Everyone immediately rushed at high speed towards Chu. Chu himself mocked him, and shockingly thought that they had decided to kill him in order to shut him up. Chu deftly and quickly lifted his foot and struck the ground with great force. All the stones immediately flew into the air from his blow. The people who were attacking him immediately began to cover their faces with their hands, and in general could not expect such a thing from their opponent. But then one of Chu's opponents exclaimed that the guy really thinks that he can hide from them. But Chu clearly had his own fighting technique, and the stones from the destroyed building were useful to him in another way. The guy immediately started picking up small-sized rocks. Having gained strength, Chu was ready for his next attack. He thought about the fact that when they say to run, you have to run. In the same second, the very stones that were in Chu's hands a moment ago flew at Chu's opponents. The guy shouted that these were the 12 chain sections of the Tang family, but suddenly, Chu heard a voice behind him yelling for the guy to come to his senses because he had just exposed his back to his enemy. His enemy immediately shouted for him to die and brought the blade of his sharp sword over Chu, but Chu immediately noticed this and praised his enemy for his good teamwork. But immediately, the guy objected that he would be a martial artist if he could so easily allow himself to be pierced by his opponent's sword. After only a few seconds, his enemy was rendered unconscious. At this, Chu only said with surprise whether he had already died at his hands because it was very easy. The guy even somehow could not believe that he died so easily, but suddenly the chief brought his sword blade over his comrade, hoping to kill him. In the same second, a spray of blood flew into the face of the head uncle. He looked at his opponent with a heavy gaze. A thought flashed through Chu's mind about what a bastard this uncle was. Chu watched a very strange and slightly frightening scene, namely the chief ordering the killing of all his subordinates to cover all traces after him. Suddenly behind him, Chu heard the voice of the head uncle shouting that they should retreat. The guy continued to stand like that in incomprehension and held the man's body by the throat with his right hand. The gang immediately started running away as soon as they slit the throats of each of their partner. Chu immediately lets the man go and tells them that if they act like this, then he too will no longer be restrained. Chu immediately rushes after them at breakneck speed. The gang continued to run away from Chu, who successfully caught up with them. But suddenly Chu stopped because another man appeared in front of him with a sword that emanated some purple magic. Chu froze for a couple of seconds and began to examine his new opponent. The enemy immediately began to strike Chu different blows, from which the guy was quite quickly and cleverly shortened. In Chu's head immediately appeared thoughts of whether his opponent really was Chu, or if he really thinks that he can stop Chu with his lousy sword. Chu immediately throws the man into a deflection. The guy is thinking about how he doesn't care at all if they die or not. The guy is only interested in one person. The man immediately flies to the floor with a loud thud. Out of the corner of his eye, the chief notices that Chu is following them. Immediately, the head and his assistant separate and start running in different directions. The same Chu thought that if he now misses this man, it will only cause the guy to loco much more. Just then, this aide yells out to his commanding officer that there is someone ahead of him. They were immediately yelled at not to move a muscle, and immediately proceeded to tell all the guards to stand by. Everyone immediately started pulling out their weapons, swords from their sheaths, bats, and the like. Chu happily thought about the fact that they could have come much earlier. Afterward, he called them turtles, as they were very slow, and it was at this point that Chu decided that now he could focus on catching them. At the same time, the commander was running away from Chu and the other guards. Just then, the commander was thinking about the fact that if he lets the guy capture himself, their grand scheme will be in great danger. But then, immediately, the commander thinks about the fact that he definitely can't give up at this point, because he and his gang have been through too much, and they can't lose everything right now. The commander throws a strange black-colored object with red stripes. Black smoke begins to emanate from this strange ball, as if from glowing lava. The commander turns towards Chu and throws this object with great force in the direction where the guy is standing. But the commander was immediately surprised that the guy who was standing near him had mysteriously disappeared somewhere. He didn't understand at all how this could have happened, as it was only a moment ago, and he couldn't have gotten away from him so quickly. Immediately after that, a red ball-shaped object flew away from the commander. It immediately exploded. The explosion was so strong that it was able to break everything around it, and also cause a blast of air from the explosion. Just then, unexpectedly for the commander, Chu's fist flew to his cheek, which told him about the fact that this uncle needed to look at him now. The man himself was confused, and he couldn't dodge the blow. Chu quickly summoned a spell, and moving his hand behind his back, prepared for his future attack. Immediately from Chu's strike, the commander immediately slammed into the ground, kicking up a huge amount of dust and dirt into the air. Stones immediately flew into the air, and dust flew into the air. Chu immediately relaxed, stretched, and immediately turned to the commander with the words that it is not time for him to accept this coincidence, because apparently his subordinates also already had a great blow. At these words, the commander only asked the guy what kind of creature he was. There were bloodstains and spatters all around the man now and then. The next question that immediately flew at Chu was that had he really been hiding his strength from 7U all this time? But Chu immediately shook his head sideways disapprovingly, saying that he wasn't really happy that this uncle was the first to ask him a question. Telling him that they are following the wrong sequence, he adds that the winner of the battle is the first to ask the question. The guy immediately asks the commander about whose side he will be from, but the man only continues to remain silent and lies on the floor. Chu only spreads his hands, saying that since this man does not want to answer the question, there is nothing to be done. The guy immediately tells the man that it's just the two of them, so they can slowly get to know know each other. Just then, the commander begins to slowly, leisurely get up from the cold and bloody floor. One way or another, realizing that the situation has reached an impasse and can now be called hopeless, all the subordinates end their miserable lives. And also, the commander himself realizes that the same fate will befall him. But the man realized that even though he was destined to die, but this insolent guy, he will definitely take with him to the other world. The commander immediately put his sharp sword in the direction of Chu, standing there and prepared to attack. Chu replies to him that he knows that look very well, and that the uncle has something in mind before he passes away. He also adds that uncle has it all written on his face. The commander immediately replies in a furious tone of voice that, to this guy, this whole thing is just some kind of joke. At these words, Chu's head is filled with the thought that Kabang and the Namgung family's men haven't found them yet, and since he still has some time left, Chu tells the man that since he wants it so badly, he'll end it with just a single blow. The commander himself was just furious with those words because they were very selfish and hypocritical. Did his opponent really have that much confidence in his own strength? The uncle immediately laughed to himself because it is impossible to kill with just one blow, and that for such words he should cut the guy's throat for the reason that this insolent kid's mouth should finally shut up. The commander immediately thought about the fact that Chu will cover a huge distance between them at once and give him a cherished blow. That's when he'll get his one and only chance. The old man was already cheering inside himself, urging his enemy to act and attack him as soon as possible, already imagining how he would put this sharp sword into the guy's throat. Just then, Chu himself prepares to attack his enemy. There is one martial art that should definitely show someone like that uncle, what another level means. A serene force touches the surface of the ground, thus causing it to shake finely. To the foot that has taken the first step, one feels a stony hardness that can support the very heavens. Chu immediately set his foot to the side and put out a tense fist in front of him. Around the guy himself, particles of blue and blue-colored energy were swirling in the air, and so he struck his fist in front of him, thus splitting the air, and only the commander thought to ask what he was up to and whether the guy wanted to scare him. But unexpectedly for the man himself, he flew at the same second from a strong blow to the stomach. Although during all this time, Chu did not make a single step towards his opponent. It turned out that it was the shockwave of the man's own fist hitting the air that pushed the man. The commander immediately flew at high speed into the nearest nearby wall. At this, Chu only smirked contentedly, for his attack had succeeded. A bright blue glow appeared near the uncle's chest. Immediately, in the next instant, an explosion of bright blue glow erupted in front of Chu. This was Chu's technique. The guy immediately said to the already shabby and crippled commander in front of him that it was not a bad technique, and that it was a forgotten Shaolin teaching, namely the fist art of steps. The old man himself was by then lying on the floor in a blood-spattered mess. Chu went on to tell him that he had to get in his face hundreds of thousands of times just to master it finally. Immediately after his words, Chu approaches the commander, who crouched in pain, continued to grunt painfully, and lay on the bloody concrete. Chu asked him a question about what to do with him now, because it will be impossible to torture this uncle here. So he decides to first take him to the family Namgun. Suddenly, behind the two of them, someone's loud shout is heard, asking Chu to stop. The man in front of them introduces himself as Baek Sung, and that he is also the head of the Kaban branch in Haiwai. Behind him, there were also two guys walking behind him. To this, Chu only replies to them with surprise that, since they so wish, then let them have it. The two guys, who were previously quietly walking behind Baek Seung, immediately ran up to the ragged body and started trying to take him in their arms together. This whole scene was watched by Chu and Baek Seung. Just then, one of the men turns to Baek Seung and tells him that he looks a lot like the villain Bomb described to them. Just then, Baek Seung tells Chu about the young warrior handing this guy over to Kaban. But then, Chu thinks that they're just a bunch of crooks because they came straight from the hotspot. Immediately, his disciple Song came running over to Chu and immediately shouted out while addressing his uncle. When Song came a little closer to Chu, he was horrified to see that his uncle Chu's clothes were very ragged and covered in someone's blood. Song immediately shouted out and started in rage. Who was the daredevil who was so tired of living that he dared to raise his hand against his uncle Chu? Song himself had only mastered the module of the most loyal dog in 10 days, but at the same second, Chu gives Song a slap on the wrist, telling him that he's a bastard. Immediately after the punch, Song raises his voice and asks his uncle Chu in surprise why he just hit him. The guy starts rubbing the bruised area with his hand, but immediately Chu, with a slightly funny but angry look, exclaimed to the guy that it was not enough for him. At the same time, Song replied with a denial and downloaded that he did not mean it at all. Baek Seung himself was watching from a distance. He immediately looked at the commander who was lying unconscious on the floor with blood and abrasions. He noted to himself that he didn't look weak at all, and that even all of his companions had already managed to reach the level of releasing chi and shooting chi. Baek Se-young is very surprised at the fact that Chu was able to single-handedly slay such a strong master. Just then, Chu turns to the man and asks him why he's the one drilling him with his gaze. Baek Se-young immediately responds with an apology, and also clarifies that he behaved very rudely towards Chu with this action of his. But ignoring this apology, Chu immediately gets down to business, saying that since Baek Se-young also recognized this commander, doesn't that mean that Koban was looking for him too? Immediately, the guy rushes in with the reason why they were doing this. Baek Se-young immediately replies to Mr. Chu that the Gyuwa gang that used to have some relation to them was slaughtered cleanly by someone, and then he says that this terrible atrocity was done by the hands of this gang. At this point, Baek Se-young already turns to young Lord Yu to ask why he decided to engage in such a battle with them. Chu is silent at first, but at the same time, he is thinking in his head that Baek Se-young himself recently tried to probe the guy with his chi, and now he has decided to extract information from him. But then Chu replies to Baek Sung that it seems that they were following someone, but by some coincidence they confused the person with him. Baek Sung then asks Chu who they confused him with. Chu just waves his hands and replies that he doesn't know this information for sure anymore. Chu immediately thinks that if Baek Se-young is the one who did this, and if Baek Sung really thinks that he is a disciple of the great Chui Bu, who ruled over Koban himself, he will let himself be ruled so easily. Chu immediately recalls his teacher, and he also thinks that the teacher looked like a real ragamuffin, although why would he look like one? He was one in the guy's opinion. Chu sighs heavily. Baek Sung guesses that Mr. Chu was definitely hiding something from them, but unfortunately he can't, so he leaves those thoughts inside. Still, there's one good thing about Baek Sung showing up right now, because if Chu brings that uncle commander to the Namgung family and tries to dig up who's behind all this, then with the guy's current strength, it's still not enough, and that's the reason why he still can't do anything. Oh, and on top of that, all these bastards are hiding and operating solely from the shadows, so there's no telling what they'll do when they find out that they're being pursued by someone like Chu himself. But if the fact that the tracking party has been defeated by them is revealed, they might start to push back even harder, which means that the Yu family will also. But Chu immediately clenched his fist and thought, well, no way. That was the reason why he should have diverted their attention. And even more so now that Chu had learned that the servant was more than just a single person, and that they had power, a great idea immediately popped into Chu's head about shifting his attention to another object. His gaze fell on Baek Sung and his cronies, who were standing quietly in silence. Chu thought that these guys would be perfect for switching the enemy's attention, and that if those Kaban lunatics were determined to dig up someone's secret, they would surely face the servant and his loyal army in the future. That's the only way Chu can buy himself some free time. Right now, Chu's task was to send out only a small impulse, and the reaction would take care of itself. Chu told them that it seemed like someone was behind them, and it seemed like from the words the guy heard, there was something about the overturned sky. Immediately, Baek Sung shone brighter than the scorching sun in the fierce heat. He reacted very violently to those two words. Baek Sung immediately shouted out that let the young master pass it on to them. Chu immediately tells Baek Sung that this isn't the case at all, adding that it's not that he doesn't understand their position, but after all, he almost died too. Chu immediately asked to look at the wound on his arm. In reality, it was just an ordinary scratch of small size. Chu immediately turns around menacingly and starts looking at Sung, who was just standing next to him before and hovering in his thoughts. Chu immediately thought in his mind that Sung immediately began to help him, because if the guy didn't know what pull push, but Sung himself did not understand what his uncle Chu wanted from him as he continued to nag him with a frightening look. Sung had already thought that he had done something wrong, or that something was hurting him very badly. Sung tried to concentrate because, as after all, he is Namgung Sung, and also the heir of the Namgung family. He was brilliantly trained not only in martial arts, but also in public affairs and arithmetic. This was where he finished summarizing his conclusion. Sung immediately shouted to Baek Sung for them to stop, because by doing so, they were putting Uncle Chu in a very difficult and embarrassing position. Chu thought that they had trained Sung, but who told him that he had succeeded? Chu thought angrily that Sung was nothing but a dumbass and was also the heir.